Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have returning guest, Keith Linder. You might be familiar with his case of the Bothell House, also featured on Ghost Hunters as well as the Demon in Seattle case. Of course, we don't like that episode. I really don't. We'll get into that tonight because Keith is an amazing guy. He's written 3 books. Technically, actually more than that because he's updated his first book. He had a 2.0 version. His newest book, though, I'm really enjoying. I haven't got to finish it because there's a lot of material in here, is Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics. This is truly an incredible book, especially if you're interested in the phenomenon of poltergeist activity. He really gets down to every part of what happened to him and into the science of it. I mean, I can't wait to talk about what things that happened with the Microsoft Kinect, for Xbox 360. He got to test that and had some weird phenomenon. We've talked about that on the show a lot. I mean, all the stuff he's gone through, really has gone through a lot with this case. Most people would just run from what Keith Linder has gone through, but he just wants to know, and I love that about Keith. He's an excellent guest. Now, last week we had to end the show about 30 minutes in because our internet went total bonkers. It's did a little bit of that tonight. I don't know why. I've tested my speeds repeatedly, and I'm above what my max speeds should be. But I'll get these hiccups. So bear with us tonight if I go in and out a little. I hope not. Let's just fingers crossed we can get through this show. I felt so bad for Patrick Spain. I'm trying to get back a hold of him so we can get him back on. But hopefully everything goes good. We got a lot of weird to get to. Even an exclusive for the Paranormal Soup World Wide Web of Weird where we get evidence from a audience member. I love sharing that. We got that tonight from Steve in Texas. And we'll open up the phone lines later in the show, hopefully. And you can call in, connection providing, and ask Keith your questions or share your own experiences if you've lived in a house or experienced poltergeist-like activity. All right, guys, we had a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Keith Linder, will be joining us after the first commercial break, after a weird... Sorry, I cannot talk. I'm so distracted. I'm like waiting for it to go bad. But he'll be on after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break, to talk about his new book, which I've been reading, and it's definitely, like I said, just a paranormal phenomenon, poltergeist activity. Key job of just not holding back, getting into every crevice of his experience and trying to think of all the scientific explanations. A lot of science behind this. He's a very smart guy, and totally enjoying this book right now. You can get it on Amazon.com or Kindle edition, I believe, too. But I like my hardback copy. Thank you, Keith. All right, so hopefully, internet providing, we have my beautiful co-host with me here. hearing me and everything's well. How you doing tonight, Jamie D?
Doing well, thank you. And
Hopefully,
I always,
see, being laggy, it takes a second.
yeah, I always enjoy having Keith on. He always adds such great insight. And I myself haven't had real poltergeist type experiences. I have had a couple incidents where things have, been kind of thrown here and there and things moved, but nothing like this, nothing that I would constitute like a poltergeist haunting.
No, I mean, we're talking writing on the wall, writing on his wall. That a lot of people, and I understand when that horrible Ghost Hunters, or not Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures episode aired, we were like, there's no way that could happen. If you know anything about poltergeist activity, there's no limit. There really is no limit to what they could do, I swear. I mean,
we had to analyze. That's not something that's just laying around either.
Yeah. It's not spray paint or anything. We'll get into all that. There's so much. All right, joining me from St. Augustine, Florida, is Robb Tilley himself. How you doing tonight, Robb?
Doing pretty good, actually.
Hopefully here.
Yep.
Internet provided. Fingers crossed, guys. So, wow. Yeah, I know. All right, hopefully everything goes well here. We actually got a lot of videos tonight on UFO stuff. Audience member Steve, and just so before we get into this, know that we do have a Facebook Paranormal Soup group. There's the page, but there is a Facebook group. There's about 600 people in there. You're welcome to join. And there's a chat I've started in there, like a little chat room. Now, I might miss people's messages in there, and I'm sorry if I do, because a lot of people do end up I've seen are starting from there, and I'm trying to catch people's stuff. But Steve shared this videos on here, and we can't play all of it tonight. I'd love to get Steve on again sometime to talk about this footage and linked and actually get to watch the whole thing. But we'll play a little bit of tonight, and we got other stuff. And of course, Chinese spy balloon. We got to get into that. But let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I have my favorite kind of story, one exclusively to the Paranormal Soup show, from longtime listener Steve Marshall in our new Paranormal Soup chat room that we have in the Paranormal Soup Facebook page. That's a lot of Facebook mentions there, yuck. Shared this, like I say, he's out of Texas, of this UFO sighting. And he shared 3 videos. I got 2 of them here. They're too long to watch all of it. We're going to watch some of it. But I love it when you guys give me your evidence and we get to share it on the show. So thank you, Steve, and let's get into it. Hopefully, ever see this? Let me. Oh no! I don't move. I hit the button. Add to stream. All right, come on. Add it to the stream. There you go. Come on. See, everything's running really slow. It makes me so nervous. All right, so this is from. So go ahead and play some of this. I had to mute the beginning of it, and we'll try to see if we can fast forward because there was music playing in the background and some explanations from Steve, I'm guessing. So this part's muted here, but you can see these lights, and they start to appear too, but then there's going to be a bunch more. We're going to probably have to fast forward to that a little bit to see it. But Steve, I encourage to post this so everyone can see maybe. Maybe we could let us put it up on the Facebook and YouTube Soup pages, the whole videos. I'll have to talk to him about that because I'd like everybody to see this full footage, especially better than the quality we're sharing here on my crappy internet tonight. But this is pretty interesting. We're talk going on right now about what's in our airspace, right? And we got some more footage about of stuff going on in the airspace here after this from UFO Sightings Daily. Great YouTube channel, by the way. But this from Steve is pretty incredible. You start seeing 2, but you're going to see more. Why don't you fast forward a little bit more? Because there's more lights. He gets a bunch. He has a lot of footage of this. There we go. Here they are. They all start coming in. Now, Rob, you were saying you don't think it's drones because they would have more of the blinking lights on them. You're muted, Rob.
Yeah, my drones have a spotlight on the bottom for when you're landing and stuff, but there's also multiple other colored lights on them.
I mean, I'm sure they could have any kind of thing they could put up there now with technology and do what they want.
Yeah, I mean, if they're military
There's
drones.
There's been a lot of these sightings lately. Yeah. Or Chinese balloons.
Yeah.
See, now we have to wonder, drone or Chinese balloon? Well, we got one more to the list to add to the possible UAP, because we can't call them UFOs. Oh, yeah, you can hear him talking in this part. I left some of the audio. I think he doesn't use any explicitives. I hope not. Uh-oh. Yeah, I didn't get time to really watch a lot of it, but I didn't get time to edit it all down. But I didn't think he said anything else, so it's probably all right. All right, we better move on, though. I could keep watching this. And like I said, I'd like to talk to Steve more and maybe get more of his take on this. But what they saw, it's pretty awesome. I said, I love the exclusive footage. All right, so this next two come from a great website, UFO Sightings Daily. And I think this first one, I have an article from Coast to Coast from Tim Binnell. Memorizing a piece of footage from Washington State, where our guest tonight's from, shows several pulsating lights that slowly come together to form a triangle in the night sky. The strange scene was reportedly filmed this past Tuesday evening in the city of Yakima. According to the unnamed witness, the flashing orbs changed color from red to white in close proximity to one another over a course of a little more than a minute. Go ahead and play the footage. This is UFO Sightings Daily. This is going to be hard to see, so definitely if you go to UFO Sightings Daily, you can see it better. And they give a little bit of analysis. I don't think they do analysis on this one, but they show it. Much better quality than this. And it's hard to see on here, but yeah, they are flashing lights. Now, this one I thought could possibly be a drone, but when you watch this scene, and it's going to be hard to see on here, when you see lights, I really feel like it is a triangle, and it's just changing position and moving off like this. It's hard to see on here, but I almost feel like this wasn't multiple lights, but the blinking lights on a big triangular ship, possibly. What did Steve say? Yeah, there was no sound and they were not blinking. About the footage. Previous footage, not this footage. So Steve's in Texas. This is Washington State. Interesting UFO Sightings Daily. My poor wife, for this next one, hopefully is not watching, because she's got to go to Florida for a few days to help her parents move. And she's got to fly for the first time. We've joked on this show quite a bit about with guests who are like, "Come on, get on a plane with your wife and come out to Ireland or Egypt or whatever." I think Mike Ricks was saying, "Yeah, not my wife. We'd have to B.A. Baracus her and give her some milk and plane." Well, she's doing it. She's getting deadly scared of UFOs. She said if she saw a UFO, she would run. So I've not told her about this story or showed her this footage. Hopefully she's not watching. Again, another one from Coast to Coast from Tim Binnell. An airline passenger traveling from Los Angeles to Atlanta captured footage of what appears to be a cluster of UFOs flying alongside the plane. The intriguing sighting reportedly occurred earlier this month, shortly after the unnamed witness flight had departed from California. Although they were uncertain exactly where they were along the trip, they indicated that it occurred as the airliner was at 41,000 feet above possibly Nevada or Arizona. While gazing out the window, the passenger was stunned to see something flying in tandem with us in the form of four glowing orbs that were tightly clustered together and seemingly rotating. And for those listening to the Paranormal Soup radio show, I forgot to mention, on the Talkstream Paranormal Radio app, we do have videos and all that. That's what we're playing here. If you want to come see, go ahead and play this one. This is out of a passenger airline plane. Hope my wife's not watching. She's nervous enough. I'll admit, I would love to see UFO, but the last place I want to see it is sitting on an airplane. And again, UFO Sightings Daily is where you can get the better footage of this. Oh, I just saw disconnect. You there, Jamie? I lost Rob.
I'm here.
You're here? Okay. You froze and Rob disconnected completely. That is not good. Not good at all. All right, I better... Oh, I was hoping not to have to do this. I have to open up my Dropbox and more connections. I'm waiting to see if Rob comes back. That's not good.
Did you get a
He
warning
just dropped off, so maybe his internet's not doing it. Oh, I didn't. I warned you about internet problems. He just dropped out. Okay, let me pull up my roll by Bubba Weird. I'll pull up my shares. It comes back. Are you able to see if he's hopping in? Because
I'm looking.
I can't see that. No. Oh no, we're just going something with StreamYard. Shit.
He just saw my text.
Cussing.
Oh, there he comes.
All right, there he is. Okay, let me throw him back in. We're trying, people. We're going to really have to rush through the World Wide Web of Weird here. Hopefully this problem goes away as we get into the show, I hope. It booted you.
Yeah. Did y'all not get booted?
No. Probably because you were the last one in. The last person.
It is acting funky.
Yeah, it totally kicked me out.
And you're getting robotic every so often.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
It'll be okay.
I see Keith is in the wait. We got Keith in the waiting room. Let's see if we can get the screen up. I don't know what it is. It keeps showing I have max speeds on my internet, but maybe it's something with StreamYard. But you guys didn't have problems Wednesday.
No.
All right, let's move on because we're going to run out of time with all the technical problems. Just quickly, of course, with all that going on, there goes my internet.
I'm getting like every other word.
Internet's going crazy. God bless it.
I'm getting every other syllable.
Oh.
You know what? What if Keith drops out until Worldwide is done, to take less strain? It got worse when Keith came into the lobby.
No.
Do you think he should leave?
I don't know what to do. Sorry, guys. I hardline this in. Says my internet speeds are max, but yet I'm getting this crap.
It was that when we're in the lobby.
Did it do any better when I dropped out?
We've never had somebody said it might not handle the upload speeds. I don't know. It should speed. I don't know what to do because this is just as bad as last week. Now it was working good before, full nuts, and it might be because we have 4 of us in here now. I don't know, and I just keep waiting for it to come back. You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Connection is fairly good. Okay, you guys there?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just turned my camera off. See if that helps.
All right, we got like a few more minutes before commercial. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. This isn't gonna work. Dude, I reset my router. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't help when Robb bad. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
His streaming handle.
Fix this. I can't fix what they're doing with my speed. Handle Robb's feed. I don't know.
Make sure you're not using 2.4.
2.4 what?
Drake's a
2.4 what,
guy.
Drake? Drake.
If you're on Wi-Fi.
I don't know what 2.4, what he means. I'm not on Wi-Fi. Oh, he means hertz. Yeah, I'm not using Wi-Fi. This is hardlined in. This is Ethernet hardlined in. No way I would do Wi-Fi with this. We really aren't going to get to do the rest of the World Wide Web of Weird. I'm kind of sitting here hanging there, guys, hoping that our speed comes back. I might have... because I want to make sure I got Keith in the waiting room. Let me bring Keith in. Let's see what's going on with Keith, just so we can test it. We go to commercial break, and hopefully everything's good.
Hello.
Hi.
I
understand you guys are having technical...
We're having internet issues. Had to stop the news part. Yeah. Yeah, we did last Sunday. I've been testing my speed for the last 2 hours, and it said my speed's up to max, but yet I keep getting where it wants to clock me in and out. We had to cancel. We did the show half an hour in, and it went going just bonkers. We're doing this. It didn't affect Jamie and Rob Wednesday. You guys were fine. But it's just the two of you. I don't know.
Is it a bandwidth issue?
I don't know what's going on with stream.
Videos?
But yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. We do it every Sunday. I've been doing it on this AT&T internet for over a year since I switched from Comcast, and it's been fine. I had a service outage a week before the last show, so now 2 weeks ago, and for 24 hours, just my block, and then then I had the internet, and then we tried to do the show Sunday, and it was just not happening. It was doing what it was just did here for the last 10 minutes or five or 6 minutes, just going in and out crazy like that. We were trying to start the interview, and I had to cancel. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to try to do the World Wide Web of Weird right now. This is kind of our test with Keith. So how you been, Keith? I want to make sure you're hearing us fine, not delayed. Well, not delayed. You laughed right away. Because that's what happened last week. It was so delayed. All right. Well, I've been reading your book, Keith. We're going to get into all that. Okay. Well, let's hope. Let's say everybody pray to the internet gods that we can get through this show tonight, because it was killing me all week after Sunday's debacle, not getting to do a show. And I had a wonderful guest on, Patrick Spain. We'll have to reschedule. Keith, you're an awesome guest, so I hope we don't have any issues. We get our commercial break. I'm going to keep testing this internet speed. I want to thank Steve for your video tonight. Hopefully that came through all right. At least we got that through. The only last thing I'll say about the World Wide Web of Weird is I was going to cover, but I don't even want to show the video. But I want everybody to go check out the World Economic Forum. Latest thing they have, people are calling it the Minority Report, where they're talking about scanning your brainwaves at the workplace. Go watch that video. Tell me how you feel about it. Because I don't feel so great about it. But that's what they're talking about up there is literally, and it's not like a chip in your brain. This is actually using just a device that goes on your ear. Reminds me of the Cybermen thing from Doctor Who when they have those ear devices. But they are literally able, in this video, they show a worker who is having her brain scanned, and it's like putting her us, and she starts thinking about her coworker. She's attractive, and oh no, I got to redirect my thoughts, or my boss might know. And then her or some kind of legal thing. Oh, there's a little glitch. He gets caught doing something, And then now the FBI are there, and they're looking at everybody's metrics to see who might have been working with them. It's a very scary thing, and they're basically saying at the WEF that this is already able to do. We could do this technology. We have it now.
Well, since
How do you feel about that in your workplace?
They were starting to work on the brain scanning hats and things in China.
Yeah. Now this is just a ear device that does it. Well, that's it. I'm sorry, the World Wide Web Weird was cut short by internet difficulties, but I just want to make sure we had our guest on, that he could talk, and that we're set to go with this interview. Because Keith, you're an awesome guest. We've been all excited to have you back on the show. Loving your book. Let me get everybody to see the book we're going to be talking about tonight, because I don't try to do the share screen now. What I told it to do. There it goes. Is it switching? I don't even know. It's going weird. I'm getting that internet. I'm trying to tell it slowly out, and it's like not doing its thing. I hope we can make it through this. Oh, okay. Hopefully I can see it lagging. This is the book we're talking about, Poltergeist, Night Side of Physics. Hopefully we can do this show. Internet is gonna work. Don't even add that to the. Don't try to share a screen. I don't even want to try. I don't want to try. But this is the book, Poltergeist, Night Side of Physics. Totally in depth. All right, I'll add this to stream. See what happens. Really quick. See, because I'm afraid to do it. See, look, it's so lagging. That's it. This is his other two books. Definitely want to check those out. But we're talking about his new one tonight, and remove that from stream. You need to go ahead and put it down. We're just trying not to overload it tonight, I guess. Ugh. Mercury's not even retrograde. I can't even blame that, right, Jamie? All right, guys. We're going to go to commercial break. Right? I can't even blame the stars on this one. All right, guys. Hopefully, we will be able to do the show. Rob, I think, just dropped out because he's trying to make sure we have enough bandwidth or something, or it helps. Thank you, Rob. Sorry. Love you, buddy. But we'll come back after this commercial break with our great guest, Keith Linder, in just a few minutes.
Eastern Standard Time, Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts, Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close Encounters of Third Kind, Contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. Sea has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounter, Third Kind, Certificate A, now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, haunted horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Mist, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, mobile, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS range ring.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we have returning guest Keith Linder. Keith Linder is an IT professional holding over 4 certificates in the IT space. Hobbies are fishing, sports, football, basketball, the outdoors, movies, sci-fi, proud geek of just about anything dealing with technology. In 2012, his girlfriend and him moved into a house right outside of Seattle. The phenomenon they witnessed while they would change their lives forever. He's now living between two realities. He lived through, sorry, I'm kind of translating this here from in first person. I forgot he had this in there. I guess I'll read this. This is what he says: what I lived through and what I'm willing to share. Robb Tilley of the Australian Institute of Parapsychology Research says this case is right up there with the most frightening of poltergeist cases: the Enfield Poltergeist, the South Shields Poltergeist, the Bridgeport Connecticut case, and the Matthew Manning case, all well-researched and detailed in various books and documentaries over the years. The Bothell House, Attachments, Poltergeist of Washington State Part 2, and Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics books are major pieces of work and a turning point in poltergeist research. And I agree. There's not a lot of great books that really delve this deep into the phenomenon. And most of them are from an outside perspective, from a researcher. Not many of them are written from the person who's lived through it, who has the same kind of scientific mind that Keith does. And that's why I'm truly enjoying his newest book, The Night Side of Physics. Or Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics. You guys definitely want to check out this book. We got a lot to get to. Let's pray, everybody. Fingers crossed. Internet gods, let us get through this show, please. I know technology sometimes doesn't want to cooperate. Hopefully we can get through it. Keith is a great guest, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. All right, fingers crossed we get this show on the road. How you doing tonight, Keith? Hopefully. Oh, I got you muted. That's my bad. Just to scare us all. Oh, there you go. Now you're not muted.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Good,
well, it's
good,
been a while,
good.
Keith. It's been a while, and I'm glad you got a hold of me. Yeah, I'm glad you got a hold of me about this book. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got a hold of me about your new book. I am truly enjoying it. I haven't got to finish it. I've had a very busy month this month, but I have been enjoying your deep dive into your. I'll be honest with you. When you said you're writing a third book, I'm going to write about it because I read Attachments. That was an awesome book. I'm like, what is he going to write about? Oh, you blew me away. You definitely keep going deeper into this. I want to get into a lot of what you talk about in the book. We get into the Connect. We talked a little bit about that with you on the show before. We didn't get really deep into it, but I'd love to talk about that. So many researchers use now the device for paranormal, but what they usually capture, what they see are like the stick figures. You had something completely incredible, and in the early stages of development of the device too. So we'll get into that story. All the analysis that you've gone through, all the hell you've gone through. I would like to give a recap to the audience. I know you've been on the show before, but it's been a couple years, and some people might not be familiar with you. So let's kind of start at the beginning of all this for you at the Bothell House.
Yeah, once again, thanks for having me on a Sunday night. But yeah, to refamiliarize your listeners, once again, named Keith Linder. May 2012, May 1st, girlfriend and I moved into a home located outside of Seattle, Bothell, Washington. Nice suburb, nice community. And I tell people every time, pretty much on day one, we start experiencing, witnessing, hearing activity. Full disclosure, me and my ex-girlfriend Tina at the time have no relationship with the paranormal, never did at that time. So we came in, I guess you can say we were baptized in it, probably in the most horrific way imaginable. A poltergeist baptized us into the paranormal. Within a few weeks of living in the Bothell home, we have no kids, Tina and I, we have no pets. We started experiencing items missing, the slowly snowball effect, if you will, of small activity, but it's going to gradually increase, and it did. Personal items belong to me, belong to Tina, started missing. Almost at the same time the items started missing were the appearance of items neither one of us owned, which makes that even more trickier. Example would be kid toys.
Yeah, that
little jewelry.
Didn't your neighbor's mail? Wasn't there neighbor's mail that you received too?
Profound,
like,
yeah, one of the most profound was the in a kitchen drawer that was now well occupied by us. We've been living in the house a while. Was the inexplicable appearance of letters, mail, in a kitchen drawer with the timestamp. You know, mail is timestamped, going back many years before is correct, but the timestamp is going back 3-4 odd years. And you're right.
Now I'm losing Keith. See, me and Jamie's stream is fine. I'm not getting the internet warning. Jamie, you're there?
Mail, I don't mean a letter or two. I mean mail.
You cut out some of their Keith.
Whatever you can think of that can fit in your kitchen drawer.
He's cutting out. And I'm not getting the internet warning, so this is weird.
He's just locking up.
Yeah. We're not, so it's not on my end. I wonder if it's something to do with StreamYard. Yeah, it might be Keith, I know. If it isn't us, it's him. You know, we're trying. Yeah, it's still locked up on him. Exit solo layout. He is fully locked up. Keith, you there? Can you hear us? Now I'm getting an internet warning on our end. Well, it says my connection's fairly good. But we lost Keith. There, looks like he had to stream. Back.
I'm going to drop out and see if then YouTube, because it keeps dropping the last person on. It seems to do better with two people.
All right. Thanks, Jamie. Sorry. I know you're excited to talk. Jamie's going to drop out, see if that changes anything. Our internet, actually, me and Jamie were on. Fine. You locked up this time.
Yeah, it gave me a black screen and threw me out.
Yeah.
Completely. I had to reload my browser. Can you hear me?
Sorry, but yeah, I hear you. You're getting deep into it too. God dang it. I cannot win these last couple weeks. Wait, so really quick.
Let me. I don't know how much you caught, but yeah. So letters. You're right. So letters appearing that belong to neither one of us. The loud bangs will soon follow. Objects being thrown.
Yeah.
Would soon follow. So many TV going off and on at will. And then naturally the elements that this case got known for were the spontaneous fires of the burning of 3 Bibles, Bibles that spontaneously
the writing on the wall,
especially one of. Then the black wall writing appearances. That happened numerous times. Summer of 2014. There's just never no rhyme or reason as to the wall writings, to the sticky, oily substance, shadowy figures, female apparition sightings, what you see in the book.
Damn it. Says my internet's good. He's frozen again.
Who was Rhonda, who was very much alive at the time when
this is the former owner. You cut out. Yeah, you cut out again, but the former owner.
Yeah, and a lot of people familiar
with renter.
Rhonda and her family, her husband and 3 kids.
Yeah.
Lived in the house 4 or 5 years before we did, had similar activity. And I tell people, that's an important footnote to anybody who wants to, study this case, question this case, doubt this case. Because, having a previous tenant 5 years before our arrival, being able to find her and without me so much saying anything, because our case had not gone public yet. She disclosed, and you saw it in the book, were the activity that they were experiencing and still experiencing at her current location when I caught up to her, which was summer of 2014.
Sadly, it ended tragically for her too.
Yes, numerous tragedies in the Bothell home, and probably the most, I guess, tragic was the demise of Rhonda. She successfully, after 3 to 4 failed attempts in the Bothell home, that's important to a researcher, was she successfully committed suicide September of 2016. Even I had moved out the home by then. I moved out May of 2016.
Right.
But she had tried 4 or 5 times in the home while there. We're talking 2008, 2009. And I put that record of those records of the response call 911 in book 2 that you mentioned earlier for people to see, for people to read. And once again, those are the things that, from a doubter or skeptic's point of view, you can't make up. Those are not my records. Those are the county and state of Washington's records of the elements that took place in that home before Keith and Tina were even a couple.
Yeah. And some major incidents. She was attacked, raped by an intruder is one of the things. Yep. And then she had the incident where she was they found her in a garage screaming and yelling at something. Yep. And came at them with a screwdriver. And they had to disarm her. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, Keith. It is incredible and sad and tragic what happened with her and her family and everything. This is dangerous stuff when you get into it. It's not something to play around with.
Very dark. Very, very dangerous.
Yeah. When I first saw the Ghost Adventures episode, before I ever had you on the show, I had seen it. And I always hated them doing anything residential because they're not real investigators. Fine, go to some big historic haunted location and, yell demon or yell at it or do whatever you want. But a residential home is a serious thing. People have to live in it. And I felt really, really bad for the whole community when I first saw that episode. I felt that the whole thing didn't sit right with me. And you got painted in a very bad light by them, and so did Tina, your girlfriend. It was awful. And they did it twice.
Yeah, and doubled down on it, which is funny in itself. But yeah, they doubled down. I think the year before last, when they revisited the case, or quote unquote, their version of revisiting.
Right.
Didn't call anybody. Didn't talk to anybody post investigation. Didn't talk to the other paranormal teams who found something.
Or any research.
Yeah.
Did they do any research, honestly, in the history? They really didn't.
Right.
Because there's a lot of history of the land. You get into the history quite a bit about the land in the area because you think the whole area could be haunted.
Yeah. I think the whole area, meaning the immediate neighborhood, the immediate vicinity. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think makes that house the focal point of it, though? It seems like it would be the focal point.
That's a good question. I would, if I had to point to something, I would point to the 2 things we already mentioned were the rape and the violence attack against Rhonda.
Yeah.
And the suicidal elements that came soon after her suicide attempts. That's some dark stuff. You read the reports of what she tried to do to herself. And you've seen the home. The home is a matter of public record. Everybody's seen the home. Lovely neighborhood, but it has a story. The home, in that area, the home, there's activity throughout that neighborhood, throughout that vicinity. But the home is the base or the capital, if you will, because of that darkness, And so the spirit, and this is what I've learned to talk to other people and do my own reading. Entities of all sorts, negative entities and energies, they flock to stuff like that.
Yes, like moths to a flame.
Yeah, they flock to stuff like that. We have Ted Bundy had a house in Everett. If people can Google Ted Bundy house in Everett, Washington. And the realtor talked about the activity in that home where Ted Bundy, as a child, played and dissected dead animals and stuffed them in a ventilation. And so, there's just, they flock to that stuff like a moth to a flame.
Well, can I give you what I think about because you talk a lot about like the shadow beings and stuff that you would see. I had my shadow person experience when I was 18, and where I picked it up at, where it followed me and 2 other people and tormented us for a number of months, was at a site where a number of people had died tragically, some by supposed suicide, at a railroad tracks. This train had, on these tracks, had killed numerous different people at different points in history. Starting like at the time, it was 30 years before, 3 kids, like 10, 11 years old, were ripped to pieces on those tracks. Other kids have been ripped to pieces on this track. I knew somebody who had a friend supposedly commit suicide by laying their head down on that same spot in the tracks. We didn't know any of this when we went out there. But then I was tormented for 4 or 5 months by a shadow being that levitated me. It did all kinds of stuff. I mean, it mainly would rip me out of my body, I swear to God, at night, and take me on a journey and show me horrible things. It knew every worst secret about me. It was intelligent and evil. But I still don't quantify as demonic. It's it's a weird. I even have some alien ties to it. I'm not going to get into. It makes me think about. You're talking about how, I asked you if it's the focal point, and the tragedy that happened to Rhonda is that these incidents of murder, rape, things that are just totally evil, leave a scar in the environment, maybe an energy scar or something, open something up, a doorway or something to some kind of parasitic negative entities. I say parasitic because honestly, I believe the thing that attacked me and the thing that whatever was going on in the Bothell house, or their energy they're looking to feed off of, is fear.
Yeah, it's fear. It's ignorance. Is naivete. But they have to latch and attach themselves to something. It's not because you're right. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of murders that happen throughout the world, and logic dictates that this will just be more reoccurring or occurring if that was the case. So there's still an unknown factor as to like why you. With me, there's still an unknown factor with me and Tina. Why us? It was 5 families or 4 families between Rhonda and us. Why Keith and Tina? And we had activity on day 1. They didn't let us get settled. They saw us, meaning we come through the door new, and they're like, we want them. So there's still an unknown factor, and it drives me crazy because I'm still asking myself that question of why me, why us, and the only answer I come back with is the one, well, why not you? But you're right. The darkness they go after areas. To some areas, if you can cleanse a home, if you can get some light in there, some good vibes, and good, cheery spirits in there, you can quell it. You can live peacefully ever after. Or like people always ask me today, it drives me crazy, is have you went back to the house and talked to the people that live there now?
You're right.
And I'm like, no, I have not. I have not had the desire to.
You could be harming them. They're fine. You could be harming them.
If they're fine, let them stay fine. Why would I go? Put the seed in their brain of, you guys okay? You all right? Call me if you need that, because they're gonna start waking up and looking over their shoulder, and everything they do may not do it consciously, but they would do it subconsciously. And let me tell you, that's all you need. That's all they need.
It does seem. Well, this is the thing. You mentioned the subconscious, and a lot when you mention poltergeist in the paranormal community, it goes to it's the person's subconscious psychokinetic energy affecting the environment. There are cases I believe are like that, but I think a lot of the phenomenon, like yours, is something else. It does involve people. Like you said, some people can live there and nothing happens to them, but some people's energy is different, and they are the needle on the record player, basically. You would be the needle on the record player. You come in and something about your energy unlocked it. Rhonda, too. And that's where the attachment comes in and why it follows people. And we'll get into what you talked about in attachments and your experiences after the Bothell house. But this thing, like, one of the things I love, I think this was caught during Mara, Mara's investigation? Steve Mara, who I've had on the show. During his investigation, I think it was him that caught the EVP that said, "I'm a mirror."
Yes, that happened.
Was it him?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
one of my favorite EVPs. And why is because I've always thought of the psychokinetic side of it, where they say it's coming from people and there's a psychokinetic energy and there's subconscious. Okay, we'll put that off to the side. I think that there's a part where there's something, an entity we don't understand, not a spirit of a human, okay, but something. I compare it to this. You're Star Wars fans. We're both big Star Wars fans, okay. I compare it to the cave in Dagobah.
Yeah, good
Luke
analogy.
is with Yoda. Yeah, Luke is with Yoda. And I've talked about that. I'm going to say the analogy again. People deal with it. But Luke is on Dagobah, and Yoda tells him, you know, there's this cave. You know, it's dark and foreboding. And the dark side is strong there. And he tells Luke to leave his weapons behind. He won't need them. Luke looks at him as he straps on his weapon belt, like, no.
Yeah, right.
But then there's weapons, and what happens? He fights a version of himself in a Darth Vader outfit and all that, you know, but he gets what he went in and expecting a fight, and he got one. Is that these things are mirroring our fears and our expectations. And I think, like you said, you put out the Bibles and the religious stuff, and then you start getting 666 on your wall. Like it's mirroring what you expect.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the coffin, if you will,
There
in the sense of.
goes.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. It is going a little wonky at the moment, but I hear you. You're fine.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you're right, and that is a very powerful, in my opinion, understudied EVP, because the voice says, "I am a mirror." And it's interesting enough that had I put out a Torah, a Quran, a phone book, you know, BlackBerry, you know, as a means of a religious significance to me, the poltergeist would have took any of those items and turned it around and wrote whatever on the wall related to Judaism,
right,
to Islam, because it would be like it's trying to tell me, oh, these things that you value religious-wise, your belief system, as a way of imposing my fear on you, I'm going to burn your books. I'm going to destroy your crosses, because I need to break you mentally. This is the spirit's mindset. And if I can do that, you know, the 666 stuff, whatever, you know, we see 666, because Hollywood has done bonkers with 666, right? So you go to a movie, that's the first thing the ghost does is 666 in blood or whatever. And it's a psychological. Poltergeist, by a definition, or psychological warfare on you within your own home. And they use, like Luke Skywalker in the Parapsychology, but your own weapons against you, your own upbringing, your own teachings and whatnot against you. And it works. I mean, some of it does work depending on who the individual is, because you see that stuff, you're like, oh my God, 666, oh my God, black oil, oh, inverted cross, what, Lucifer? I mean, one of the investigators' sage sticks did light itself. Oh my God, it lit the sage stick. You know,
fire is the most scariest part of it all.
Yeah, and
here, let me light that for you.
Yeah, let me light that for you.
That's it. All you need to know how well that's going to work.
Yeah, so you're
you know,
you felt before you even started. We have a pint of holy water that's missing. It took a pint of holy water, it's missing. It's still missing to this day. So you're like, it stole the holy water? You know, so what do you come back with? You know, what do you like? Okay, where do we go from here? It stole the holy water.
Yeah, you can hear it belching in the background because it drank it or something, you know? It basically is letting you know none of these things affect me.
And they're like, hey, you got any more? You got any more?
Well, you know, that's what I'm always saying. It's like people, but the whole thing that this is just coming from somebody. Like it's from you. You don't know it. It's your psychokinetic energy, or it was from Tina. I don't buy that. There's something intelligent in here that's beyond your subconscious, that's intelligent, responding to you and mirroring. That's what you know. A big part of this is mirroring your expectations. is sending you.
Yeah.
And I've always pointed to other hot spot areas have a similarity of poltergeist activity, like the Bell Witch, Skinwalker Ranch. I've talked about how they have a similar instance of Bell Witch started with a father and son out in the field, and they're hunting, whatever, and they run across a beast in the woods. Again, Skinwalker Ranch. You have a beast that goes and attacks the cattle and tries to pull one through, and the father and son are shooting at it, try to get away. I always thought those two hundreds of years apart places, but crazy activity, poltergeist-like activity that happened, especially in the Bell Witch case, is maybe an example, because I think these things have been here since the beginning of time. Primitive man's response to fear would be to something in the wild or the woods would be a beast. These things, I think, can take on the form of whatever fear. It's like the Harry Potter thing, the Bogar or whatever, the thing in the closet, that can take shape to their fears. That's another good comparison, I think, of what we might be dealing with something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Bell Witch from a study perspective, the case itself, because of what the entity told the family, especially John Bell. It told them we've been here for a while. It used a lot of historical references, and it said, it's 4 or 5 of us in your home. We come and go. We've been here for a while. It broke out some mathematics stuff on them. It told us some stuff in the future, and it even said, when I'm gonna depart and I gotta go, but I'll be back in I think it was 7 years. It left and came back.
Yeah,
and it came back to the day. So that proves we're talking about something that's sentient, third party being entity, ability to maneuver, the ability to live in our space and our dimension. I believe, like you said, they operate from a different dimension, but they can interact with ours. The Bothell House is a perfect example of, in my opinion, of that in modern terms of third-party entities. The many voices Steve and others found in the home, just by the voice alone, we believed. If we were to go by the voices captured alone, we captured 11 different distinct voices, which we point to 11 different entities. I believe there were more, but we have 11 different, meaning we have a male EVP, we have a child EVP, we have a female, we have an older male, younger male, older female, younger female. Has some to be determines, the child cough. So about 11 overall, some with Irish accents. So you got all those different variables there. You got to be like, wow, okay, at least 11. And then you got the shadow figures. We'll talk about the floating black masses that the Microsoft team caught. That's in its own category.
Yeah, we need to get into that a little bit too.
That's weird. So
let's talk a little bit about the Microsoft thing. You were testing the Kinect. I have a Kinect. I got it when it first came out for the 360. You had it when they were testing it. So they were like monitoring you. So let's talk a little about that, because that is an interesting experience.
Yeah. So I'm a tech by profession, but I'm also a geeky tech. And I was demoing the prototype for both Xbox 360 and Kinect. This was first generation Kinect, second generation Xbox, the white one. For the summer of 2013, believe it or not, we had no activity, noticeable activity in the summer, and I had signed up and obviously won some sort of volunteer, and they said, hey, we want to bring this stuff to your home, and you're going to play it. We're going to observe you from both afar. I mean, we got people back at headquarters. When you log in, are going to be observing you. Every now and then, we like permission to come to your house and observe you. So I'm like, sure. This is one of those instances where they came to the house to set up like a mini studio, and they don't really care about me. They want to watch the game and my ability to maneuver. They're looking for glitches and whatnot. And I'll never forget that night when as I'm playing and they're watching, and it's the people in the room with me and there's people in the headquarters. And the people in the headquarters said, "Time out." I'm paraphrasing. They said, "Time out, time out. We stop. We got something." And what that means is they got something that they can't account for or determine. So they're watching me play. They're watching the AI, if you will, and something has entered the environment that they can't account for. So they have to pause, and they ruled out a glitch on their side. They want to see if there's a glitch on our side, so they made me stop. And the people with me are chiming in, and finally they put it on my big screen. They're like, "Okay, show us what you got." And I kid you not, it showed up on the screen. You know how the Connect works. So I forgot what mode you're in, but it's all gray, matted, and you see outlines of me, outlines of everybody, and the background of furniture and all that. And above us, behind us in the kitchen, all these floating black orbs, black little deals, and they're floating, and the people at Microsoft don't know what that is, and they're like, it's driving them crazy. When I say it's driving them crazy, it's driving them crazy. From a developer point of view, I'm an IT project manager. That would drive me crazy. This was not my project, right? It would drive me crazy because I'm like, whoa, what is that? They're not scared or spooky or ghost or anything. They're looking at it from a code, a technical aspect.
Like, we got a problem.
We got a problem. We go to launch in November. Little Johnny playing Halo can't be having float orbs in his console. His mom's not going to have that. So they paused the game, paused me, and I'm not the only person beta testing Microsoft 360s. There's thousands of people all over the world testing this thing. I'm the only one they've ever seen that. The only one. They said because they come back to me days later and all that stuff, and they're like, we've never seen that in another home. Now, they don't know about the stuff that happened in 2012, because why would they? It's not something I'm going to volunteer. Right. And they never followed back up with me in 2014. If they did, they'd be like, aha, that's why. But I knew. So when I saw that, I was like, oh. I was like, okay. And these orbs, look out, they were like hibernated. They were dormant kind of. They were kind of,
because you said the activity wasn't very much going on at that time either.
It was no activity at that time. And they were just there. And I always thought it was interesting. And I remember, and I didn't put this in the book, because when the 360 did come out, it came out that Christmas, and Microsoft gave me a free one. I hooked up my Connect and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And in 2014, when my house was active, I pointed that Connect to the same spot. And man, let me tell you, the shadows that were floating were multiplied by a lot.
So they were bigger.
It was heavy, dense darkness, bigger, heavier, and I was like, whoa, man, and I know, and that's why I talked about it in my third book was, I think that was them in the dormant state. Yeah. And I know, based on EVPs that Steve and others caught, was they never anticipated, meaning the floating orbs of the entities, that technology. They was not familiar with that technology that Microsoft brought in. So it caught them off guard in the sense of the anomaly that Microsoft picked up. They, meaning the entities, was like, whoa, what's this infrared thing? Oh, what is this? Because they're watching me do my movements and all that, and they're like, oh, okay, what is that? All the little dots all over the room.
You talk about the technology very well in depth in the book about how it works, which is interesting. Have you seen the Quest? Have you used the Quest, the Meta's Quest VR headset?
No.
In it, I'm wondering, I don't know their technology, but you talk about the technology of the Kinect. It's got to be something similar, because they have this hole where you have to make a perimeter around yourself. You like draw a perimeter, but it looks for things, and like you'll see these little dots highlight like things or objects that are in your zone to let you know like, hey, you don't have a clear and free zone. So it's tracking and doing all this stuff. You see everything like this gray kind of reminds me of the Kinect when you would see it the Kinect. And I'm wondering if people are gonna start getting stuff with the VR Quest if they live in a home like yours.
Yes, it's very interesting because the Kinect. I remember when I was beta testing it. I mean, it was a big deal back then.
Mm-hmm.
When I came home, like you would come home, the thing about the Xbox Connect was what Microsoft wanted to happen is you leave your console on. The minute you walk in through the front door, your Connect knows you're home, and your entertainment center comes to life. Meaning, you come down, you sit down, your Connect, the little sensor thing, is reading me because it's got me coded already. It's got Tina coded. Everything else is oblivious, except the furniture is an inanimate object.
I had it, I remember.
And it was interesting. I come in and Connect light up and da 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 da. When I want to play a game, if a friend came over, it ignored or wouldn't accept them to the code. But living with that technology and a poltergeist lurking. Because this is new. The Connect was new. It was new to the world, And I know the poltergeists were caught off guard. They were like, "Wow, what?" They used to infrared cameras and the motion detection and all that stuff, and passive and active infrared. But okay, he's got this new home Connect console that picks up his movement and all these dots and O's talk about code. And they found that very fascinating. That the entities did very, very, very fascinating.
Well, I know you mentioned like they don't show up on camera a lot. Like they seem to know. Like to do things like away from view a lot of times. Because you've had security cameras up in your house. You've caught lights going in and off and noises and that, but it's like you've not caught the stuff that you've seen, like you and Tina seen the I remember it was a plant was one of the things you guys saw float up when you were watching TV. Things levitating and that you never got, but I think that's because they know. It's just like they know when Ghost Adventures showed up and they were very quiet, right? That they're going to screw with you and they're not going to give these guys anything. So I felt went down with that, and I think that does happen.
They can see. They can see. I always and I can get it because when I started doing my own setup, I made the same mistake too. You're thinking when you're setting up a camera, because people always tell me online, even when I lived in the home, hey, won't you hide a camera in the flowers or hide a camera in the ventilation where they can't see it? I'm like, they can see that. They can see
they know what you're doing.
Hiding stuff. Like, where do you think they are right? Where do you think they're
I think they can read your thoughts. Honestly, I think they can read your thoughts.
They can start to set up. When I got to come up with my Wi-Fi password for my cameras and my encryption and all that, they see all of that. It's not like, they're like in another room and then as soon as I set everything up, okay, you come out now. This is not hide and seek. No, they see all that. They're over my shoulder. I'm using that in a metaphoric term. They're right there in the midst of it all. So when Ghost Adventures came, and you saw some little special gadget they never tried before or whatever, that's fodder for them because they're putting so much investment, meaning the entities are saying to Ghost, they're putting so much investment behind these technological gadgets, and they're missing the whole point of who and where we are. The battery drainage and stuff that they were experiencing, that was the entities.
I also think it's because you weren't there for the first investigation, right? The first time they were there, you guys were in a hotel.
Well, we're there for the daytime. Daytime and nightfall when they did the lockdown, we got there. But you're right. And then if you come in there thinking, your milk brings all the, your milkshake brings all the girls to the yard, they are not going to satisfy you. Because it's not in their benefit to. It's not in the poltergeist benefit to make Zach and Dave Schrader a believer of Keith and Tina's story.
Yeah,
This not in their business. It's not in their benefit of that.
Because you could actually get more help then if it was revealed that they actually gave them good evidence and it was revealed to the world that you really have something going on. You guys might get more help. You wouldn't be alone.
Why would they do that? I mean, that's not in the benefit of that. It's in their benefit to scare the heck out of Keith and Tina and to make us look like hoaxers to the world, because that brings anxiety and more angst on me and Tina.
Yeah.
Zach and them got to leave. We got to live here. And when they leave, then they come back and say, "Okay, guys, are we done? Can we resume where we left off?" And they really did. So the activity returned back to where it was before they came. And then da 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 da. Now the question people might ask, well, why did Steve and Dawn and Nikki Nobel and others get so lucky to get stuff? Well, there's several reasons why other teams got stuff and Ghost Adventures didn't. One is the amount of time. 5 hours is what Ghost Adventures spent in the home. As far as time, Steve and Mary lived in the home 2.5 weeks. Nikki and her team lived in the home 3.5 weeks. Pick which one you think is going to get better results: 5 hours or 2.5 weeks. And I don't mean, hey Keith, we're gonna leave and come back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow. No, they didn't do that 2 weeks straight. They lived in the home for 2.5 weeks. A week first visit, a week and a half second visit, Steve and Dawn. Nikki and them 3.5 weeks nonstop. I mean, good night, Keith. Good night, Nikki. Good night, Clarissa. Good night, everybody. Wake up. Oh, wait. Good morning. Good morning, Keith. Good morning.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning. So the entities are there, versus 5 hours. 5 hours, it's been Ghost Adventures 5 hours to set up camera equipment and studio equipment. And then they did their 5 hours investigations and 2 hours to take all that stuff down. So any entity can avoid that. I already put on record, me and Tina had no activity for the entire year of 2013.
Yeah.
So if an entity can go dormant in silent mode for a year, 5 hours is nothing.
We don't know what we're dealing with.
They even, not to pick on people, but they knew that already.
They know that. They're making a TV show.
Yeah.
They're making a TV show, and they got to add drama. That's why I don't generally like most paranormal investigation shows, because it's not much of an investigation.
Yeah.
That's what I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated that episode the first time I saw it. I was like, see, this is why I hate it when they do residentials, because I felt you got the shaft. They're making assumptions with no reasonable way to make an assumption. They don't know. They've only been there 5 hours.
Only 5 hours. It would have been better if they would have said, hey, we're only here for a short period of time. It's very hard to get something at that amount of time. Very, 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 very hard. It's like chasing lightning.
Yeah.
It's really hard. 99.99% you're not going to get anything. This is not to say Keith and Tina are lying or whatever, but we're just here for a short period of time. But what we're going to do, we're going to stay in contact with them off camera and provide updates wherever they are, if there are any. But yeah, so they could have done that, and then everybody would say things like, "Oh, all right, let's talk the truth." They give a realistic picture of the paranormal. Stay in touch with the house occupants.
Yeah, no.
Put us on your speed dial. And we'll keep you updated, or send you have I would always call it like a Zach light team. I'm Zach, but I got a team that reports to me. I train them or whatever, but they're going to live there and they report to me, but they're going to live there. But they're the Zach light. They're the Ghost Adventures light team. The B squad.
Yeah.
And that's a good concept to get in, because they're there and they can relate back to headquarters and be like, hey, yeah, we've been living at home for a month, and yeah. And then when y'all think, okay, it's kind of active, then you can send in the real trooper. Okay, well, I'm coming back. Okay. Yeah.
One of the things I understand as a paranormal investigator, I've had people tell me crazy stuff before I go into a home, and I go in the assumption that they're telling me the truth. But I understand when I bring a team of people in, even if the homeowners are there, which for me a lot of times they are, that our energy affects the environment. What we observe, we are going to affect. We come in there doing what we love to do, doing an investigation. We're in a good mood. You know what I'm saying? It's like having a party, you know, in your house. The energy will change. It'll be not negative. It won't. And I think these things, like, they shrivel under that kind of energy. And I think when we come in and they're like, well, nothing happens. I always tell the owner, don't worry. It's not that just because nothing happened while we're here for a night, because I couldn't do like 2-week investigations like Nikki could, or Carissa or Steve. I wish I could do what they did. It's awesome. I understand that one night is not going to prove anything to us, you know, because our energy affects the environment. That's why we have to go back and do it again. And eventually, sometimes you start getting stuff, you know, because you've done it multiple times, and then you start.
Yeah, you know, the more familiar you become with the environment, the more familiar you become with the people who live there. You don't want to develop a wedge or animosity. Like, there was a wedge. People, and this is not me saying it. People email me all over the world who still watch this episode of reruns, and they tell me, and they've been watching the show for 11, 15 years, how long it's been, and they said, man, and they love Zach, so it's not like they're bitter, but they tell the truth. They're like, we've never seen them treat a house occupant like they treated you.
Yeah.
It was off-putting to them who are fans of the show, and they were like, it was just weird. It seemed like there was a wedge between you two, and it was very weird how all that.
Yeah.
And they, I seen her home, and it was just, and they said, and it put Zach in a new light with them. And all tonight, I was like, because it was true. And I tell people the truth always, and about, you know, what happened, you know, the good and the bad. And I would say, hey, this is what happened. This is what didn't happen. This is what happened off camera. This is what never made it to the camera or it was on the cutting room floor. And y'all need to know that you're right. When they came in, and it was very off-putting. It was very, you know, sort of like we were being interviewed and drilled. Like, you know, when you say, you know, in order for me to believe you, this is me paraphrasing Zach, in order for me to believe you, I have to see this for myself. You're not going to see
I don't
the
do
Bible catch fire for yourself while you're here. You're not going to see the wall.
Oh, he froze. Oh, no.
Writings. No, you're not. That's what it's. Hey, we're doing good. So
you cut out some there. Just want to let you know, just for a few seconds. But
yeah, I can see the screen a little
yeah. But I want to say is I think they went in there with a presumption of that you are faking it because of things like seeing the 666. Seeing this stuff was just too much for them to believe. And I think they went in their presumption that these guys are up to something, and they never changed that presumption. They just went in with it, and we're gonna put our perception in on this without any actual evidence.
Yeah, like going back to what you said. I'm a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's a mirror and that's their presumption, it's gonna not give them any evidence.
Exactly. I'm a mirror.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Like they went into Cave of Dagobah with this assumption that there is no dark side in there. That, you know, they got nothing. Yeah.
And if they're like,
okay,
all right. Yeah.
I also think it's key when you're dealing with this kind of activity to have the clients there. I've seen people I believe are batteries to this energy. Like they are connected to people, then they feed off of certain people's energy and are able to manifest from that.
Right. Steve Mera in the documentary and in his book, who's been doing poltergeist investigations for 34 years, when asked, says, you know, Ghost Adventures probably wasn't a good idea to send Keith and Tina away from the home. And that should be self-explanatory to any researcher. I think it should be taught on day one of paranormal school.
Yeah.
But
in that kind of case,
you think about it like this, and when you take me and Tina out the environment, you know, we live there. Not saying that we're the cause of the activity or we're hoaxing or whatnot, but you're changing the environment in a major way. It's almost like when a law enforcement arrive on a crime scene and the police, meaning the people in blue, are just trampling all over the evidence. They don't know nothing.
It's a good analogy.
And the detectives walk in, and they're screaming out of their ears because they're like, "What are you doing?" Or they just move something from left to right. Oh, we moved this bar stool over here. And like, what? Don't touch anything. And I should.
What I would have done.
Keep us.
If I was them, I would have put you there, you and Tina, and I would have given a lot of time to just staying out of the house and watching you two. I would spend a lot of time with that.
Do like a little Big Brother, or just watch us, and go where we say go to.
I wouldn't tell you where the cameras were either. I would just put. I said, "There's cameras up. I got them kind of hidden, and just know we're gonna watch and see if anything happens. So you guys don't know. You don't know where to look or whatever's going on. I would keep it. Keep that out of your psyche too.
Yeah, they could
try to give you the most natural environment.
You got to keep it natural, undisturbed, as much as possible. But once again, they're a TV show. That gathering evidence is the last thing on their list.
Yeah. And word to the wise: if you're living in a house like the Bothell House, don't call a TV show to come in and investigate. Get a national paranormal team, because you did before them. You had the was it No Bull Paranormal?
No Bull Paranormal.
Something like that.
That's the team whose sage stick caught on fire.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff happen, and we can get into what. Yeah, we're going to go to commercial break, Keith. Hopefully, the internet keeps going here. And I'd like to get in a little bit of what happened with them, too, because I want to talk a little bit about the spontaneous fires. I had an investigation of somebody who left their house, left everything they own when the fires happened. It's the most scariest part of all this. And I want to get into a little bit of that. And, you were getting burned on your clothes. You had, I know, one of the investigators get a burn mark on their hand. And that whole thing right there, that's probably the scariest thing to my wife, who's a paranormal investigator. When we were doing our own investigation at a house, I had spontaneous fires. That to her, she was like, that scares me more than anything. And I'm like, that is the scariest. And so many haunted places seem to go down in fire. If you notice, a lot of famous haunted places have gone away from fire. I mean, sometimes it's people that just burn them down, but you wonder. Well, we're going to go to commercial break, guys. When we come back with our guest Keith Linder, we're going to keep talking about his newest book is Poltergeist, Night Side of Physics. I can grab the book here. Get it on Amazon. You get a Kindle version of it. If you're interested in the whole phenomenon of poltergeist activity, this is a guy who's been through it and has a great mind and intellect to really get into the detail of it. Come back from the short commercial break.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Robb, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read.
Edgar Allan Poe wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
Accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Keith Linder. I want to thank him for his patience with the bad internet tonight. Better than last week. We were able to make it through the show. Sadly, Jamie and Robb hopped off just to help the bandwidth. And I went upstairs during the break and turned off my wife's TV and my other kids' TV who were asleep to try to cut down on my bandwidth. Hopefully we can get through the rest of this show, and hopefully we can take your phone calls. I am opening up the phone lines now. You can call in. Those are the numbers. Join the conversation. If you had a poltergeist experience, I'd love to hear about it tonight as well. Compare notes with our guest, Keith Linder, and we're talking about his new book, Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics. Truly loving this. If you're into or curious about the phenomena of poltergeist activity, this is somebody who's been through it. And he really takes deep dives into the whole experience in all three of his books, especially in this newest one, so I can't recommend it any more than I have already. A lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right, hopefully we're going to be all right here. Let me exit solely out and unmute our guest. That's working quicker. Okay, hopefully. All right, Keith, still there with me?
Still here.
Still here. All right. Yeah, it's still showing me like internet going. I don't know why. My speeds show fast, but I don't know if it's something with StreamYard. But hopefully we can get through this interview. Phone lines are open. Call in tonight, guys, if you want to join this conversation. I see you guys in the chat room. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. So let's talk about some of the spontaneous fires and burning that happen. We have the Bibles. We have it on people. You bring up in the book, what was it? Certain radiation, black radiation.
Black body radiation, yes.
I thought that was really interesting about your way of looking at how to explain these fires. If you want to get into that, we got one person just called in. We're going to keep you on hold for a minute, but I'd like to get in a little bit about some of the spontaneous fires you've had.
Well, yeah, the first spontaneous fire was Bible 1, first Bible to catch on fire. I was in summer or spring 2014. That was the Bible that went missing in 2012. So you got to think about it like this. You got a Bible that's gone missing for almost a year and a half. Almost 2 years, right? And the activity has returned. And we've gone to bed, me and Tina. We're exhausted. We've had crazy activity that day. That was the day No Bull Paranormal came. And we are awakened to the fire alarm, which everybody knows is probably the most horrific thing to wake up to in the dead of night. And our door was closed, and you can see the light illuminating through the cracks of the door.
Oh, dear God. Yeah.
I bust open the door, and there on the floor was a book that was on fire. I didn't know it was the Bible until I closed it. And I did not know it was the Bible that went missing, really, until I picked it up. And it was the Bible that went missing in 2012. And it had a bulge in it. It had a mini wooden cross that hung over our headboard, our bed, which makes it even more kind of crazy because that was in the book. It was burnt too. Then several weeks after that, Bible 2 and Bible 3 were found scorched. Those books, we found them scorched beyond recognition. And the question asked by myself and others were, how come or how are they allowed to, in the condition that they were in, you would think they would set off an alarm, fire alarm, or smoke alarm. I can't burn toast without my fire alarm going off. I can't light my, candle.
I mean, the first one set it off. It was actually on fire, but the other two were just found already burnt.
Already burnt, yeah. Pile of ash, already burnt. One was on the bookshelf and was relocated into the kitchen counter, and those videos on my YouTube channel and in all three books. And then the two computer monitors. Fast forward to fall of 2014, were a similar experience of being awoken to fire alarm, and then poster fire. Who can forget the infamous poster fire in the hallway? Ghost Adventures did a reenactment of that. Reenactment was pretty good. And the fire on the poster, no rhyme or reason of how a poster would catch fire on its own. I called the fire department. They could not determine root cause of how the poster would catch fire. Posters don't catch fire. It's not near a heat. It's not near a heat source, meaning
or
visible
electric or anything.
or electric heat source. But for people who are not familiar or are familiar with poltergeist, uh, spontaneous fires or inexplicable fire disappearance are in the rarest of poltergeist cases. They do happen. They're very serious. It's believed when you have a poltergeist setting fires at will, that's probably a level 5 level activity. There's like 5 scales. That's very dangerous. You're dealing with an entity that's enacting an enormous amount of power to create fire. There's been others, the clothing have caught fire. Mine did too, but lucky I got Tina who doused me. Others weren't so lucky. You have people or stories of people being found in their homes, being
Spontaneous combustion.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's what I
no
thought
root
of
cause.
when you're talking about these instances.
Yeah, no root
Yeah,
cause. And you're right.
When you talk about this, I thought about a lot about spontaneous combustion. It's always been a fascination with me. You know, you find people's bodies literally melted. Like there's just like and you don't even know how it happened because there'll be a full instance where there's like a full leg left, but the rest of the person's literally the leg too. And how did they melt at all? You know, it's not explainable by just like a cigarette butt in a bed. You know, the heat amount to burn bone alone like that is incredible.
Yeah. You're talking about bodies that are burnt more, if I can use the word more, than say a cremation. You know, there's nothing left of them. The fire is very localized. You're right. There are extremities of their, body extremities that are left, but for the most part, the cavity, the torso, and whatnot is disintegrated. And I dug deep for that because I had a lot of theories, and I'll take this one to my grave. I think others out there should pick up where I left off. I think the black body radiation is where to go with that. I really do. It's the only one that can explain
the localized
everything we just talked about. The localized incineration. The human eye cannot detect. It doesn't emit heat. That's why it's called black body. It will not emit heat. The only thing that will experience the heat is the target.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was one of the most. I thought that was really interesting. I got to that part in your book, and I'm like, I've always been interested in spontaneous human combustion, and I'm like, that I've never heard that explanation before. Oh, am I cutting out? He's frozen. It's showing my internet fine. We do got a phone call too. Hopefully, we can get Keith back here. He's frozen. You there, Keith? Oh. Hold on, audience. It's frozen on his end. It shows my stream is good, but Keith is frozen. Let me check on our phone call. Are you there, Zach?
I'm here, brother.
Okay.
How's it going?
Been better. I got Keith right now. He's frozen. I'm waiting to see if he'll come back. So hang in there, Zach.
No problem.
Damn. He is really frozen now. So this right now, my internet shows good. Now it's on his end. I can't win. He's still frozen. Damn. It might boot him out. He might have to come back. I don't know. Here, Keith. It just still has him frozen. Now it's showing my internet going stupid. Connection is fairly good. No, it doesn't seem like it. Oh, hang in there, audience. I'm hoping Keith gets unfrozen here. I could see he was like having trouble hearing me. Yep, he went blank. He's all right. So hopefully we get Keith back. Hang in there, Zach. What were you gonna call in tonight with?
I just had two questions over for your guest. One's a question related to his experiences, and then another one is recounting an experience that happened to somebody that I know, and I wanted Keith's interpretation of it.
Well, hopefully we get him back. I'm waiting here to see if he hops back in. Okay, there he is. All right. Let me add him back in. Hopefully, we're good. You there, Keith?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was you that it was on your end this
roll.
time. We're streaming live.
That black value.
We were streaming fine on our end. We lost you this time again. Ugh, internets. All right. Well, we got Zach on the line. Are you able to hear us good? Hopefully, don't get out. All right, Zach, you're on with Keith. Hopefully, you can ask him your question.
Hey, Keith. Very nice to meet you, my friend. My first question to you relates back to your experiences that you had. At any course of when you had these events that were going on over to you and all that, did anyone ever tell you if there was maybe a portal maybe over on your property or anything like that that was like a gateway to a lot of this activity going on?
Not before we lived there or the early stages of living there. I know it's been theorized by several teams of a portal maybe within the home or within the vicinity of the property. I could tell you, Steve Marandon Phillips, while living there, picked up a weird anomaly on a wall that can only be detected through infrared camera or work, and it manifested on one of the bedroom walls, and it stayed there for a few hours, and it would not dissipate. It was one of the weirdest things ever. It was totally unexplainable. Air in that vicinity. We turned off the.
Damn. Hold on, Zach. He's stuck again.
Just a matter of fact.
You there,
able
Keith?
to maintain and stay there. So just weird. In the early other.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Him. Oh. Yeah, I hear you. It was like going in and out. You were going good, and then it just started going in and out.
Yeah, but as we get deeper to the subject matter, you're gonna get more of these. That's just how they do it.
It's showing my internet connection good now. I haven't had the slow speeds come up on mine, but it seems something on your end now that it's like cutting you out when you start to get deep into this.
We get into the meat and potatoes of it. It was fine when we were talking about ghost adventures. They can listen to that all day.
Yeah. Zach, I know you had another question, Zach. Hopefully we can get an answer.
Yeah, it's related to act and all that. So I had a friend of mine, they worked for Waymo, which are the self-driving cars that were created over by Google. And I remember they told me a story one time about how they were going on a test run with one of the cars, and it was in the middle of the night. They had the car on autopilot. The car drove on the sidewalk. And while they were operating the vehicle, suddenly the car stopped. And it's in an empty road, no other cars around them, but the sensor is detecting up what looks like a vehicle that's right in front of them. And then there's, I guess, the car's detecting just what would be pedestrians that are to the right on the sidewalk. And my friend looks over and there's nothing there whatsoever, which absolutely blew their mind to figure out what was going on. So, Keith, I'd like to get your interpretation just of that experience that I just told you about that happened to a friend of mine. You know, whether it be paranormal or maybe you can be able to maybe come up with an explanation really for what would cause that.
Yeah, not knowing the overall event, or I wasn't there, but I could tell you it doesn't surprise me, and here's why. You know, we're living in a very fascinating and interesting time, you and I and everybody listening tonight, and the next 10 to 20 years is really going to be telling from a paranormal point of view, because the technology that's being created now, we're having this AI technology where we're going to have the automation, we're going to have sensor work, infrared work, and things, and infrasound, and things do stuff for us that's going to encroach upon that environment. It's going to encroach upon that veil, all right? And by encroaching upon it, it's going to pick up those anomalies. You know, when you got a car that can drive itself, it's got to be in constant knowledge of its surroundings 24/7. Okay, it's got to see things and sense things that you and I can't see or sense. That's why we got cars today. You know, if a car passes you on the highway, gets too close, or veers out of its lane, you hear that beep, beep, beep. If you got a newer model car, you know, a Tesla or a newer model car, where your sensors are constantly, because the AI in your car is running a gazillion processes in a second. They're present everywhere. You know, we got to get out of the mind of they're in homes only. No, they're everywhere. You know,
I agree.
Homes is just where they find us. And now that we got these tools and these gadgets, you know, these smart devices, it's going to interact with them, and it's going to appear as an anomaly. It's going to appear weird to us, but a person who develops and codes and researches are going to have a hard time just writing it off as, you know, because they're the one that wrote it and they know what the limitations of their own tool. The people at Microsoft know the limitations of the Kinect. They know what it can and what it cannot do. That's why they programmed it. It's picking up things that they didn't write code for. And that's what it sounds like with this Google automated car. It's picking up things that even the people who created this technology didn't anticipate. And now you're seeing something that looks like a car or something, but your naked eye says different. But the technology is not lying. Something is there. So I'm team believing in that.
We glitched out there just a second. But I got most of the answers really interesting, Keith. And yeah, to think about that, where we're going technology-wise, and we're talking about having robots in people's homes are going to use these same kind of sensors for the environment around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Tesla's working on it right now.
Around them. Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, the next 15 to 20 years, it's going to be really, from a paranormal point of view, it's going to be very interesting, the anomalies that we're about to be introduced to or encounter, and it's going to be harder to debunk, if you will, because these sensors are picking up things and they're going to show you. They're like, hey, this is what I got, and then we got to interpret it and be like, okay, all right, yeah. So,
well, thank you, Zach, for calling in, bud.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason, for allowing me to call in, and thank you, Keith, very much for answering my questions. I hope everybody has a good night, all right?
Yeah, pray they'll keep the internet going here. Have a good night, Zach. But yeah, I think about like the creepy Tesla robot that they've showed recently. You know, I don't know if you've seen the videos of the robot they're developing, but looks like something out of iRobot or something. But it's got to have sensors similar to judge its environment and where to go and what to do, and it's going to be in people's homes eventually one day. And what's it going to encounter? How's it going to affect? Is it going to, you know, heck, if these things can manipulate electronics, is it going to turn your Android against you?
Yeah, they can manipulate electronics. There's already cases of, you know, the what do they call it? Your AI voice activated Amazon. I got one.
Oh yeah.
My mind draws blank.
Yeah. I don't have it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Alexa.
Where you give it a voice command, right? Hey, what time is it? Alexa? Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah.
And then people have gone online and said, hey, I'd be sitting just working on my crochet, and Alexa just blurt out something and start talking on its own. Or I'll be asleep and Alexa will do something or blurt out or do a command that I didn't give it. Those are things that people have gone online and gone on Reddit and reported. I can tell you, being in the city of Seattle where Amazon is headquartered, I know people who work for Amazon. I can tell you some of these make their way back into their
they log the data.
And they don't have an answer for it all. It's just one of those things. So you're right. You put these things, because the Alexa, whether you're talking to it or not, it's always on. It's always listening. That's the whole purpose of it. Well, an entity that's in your home, and it might have not yet manifested at all, but it's there. Like it's sound weird coming from me, but I wish I had an Alexa in a Bothell home. Oh my God, I wish I had one.
Seeing what it would have done.
Man, they would have made. Oh, the things. Oh yeah, I would have had one in every room. Yeah.
I bet you. I know you would have. I know you would have.
Yeah, I would have. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
They would have made mincemeat after that, but while doing it, it would have been interesting to see some of the things they would have done and some of the anomalies that have happened. Because I know people tell me with their Alexa, with their Siri, and whatnot. So yeah, but it's going to be more and more as we get more into the AI and to the smart technology. The automation is there, and you're right. These spirits are really going to act up. They're adjusting like we're adjusting. They're adjusting like we're adjusting.
Well,
and there's good and bad. There's good and bad repercussions for that.
Well, there's a show I love called, and there's a British version I love that I first started watching. Now there's an American version called Ghosts. And in that, one of my favorite characters in the American version is Alberta. She's this jazz singer from the 20s who dies in this house, and there's a bunch of other ghosts. And there's one woman who lives there that can see and talk to all of them that's alive. That's like the premise of the show. But they get an Alexa. And Alberta, she has like all the different ghosts have like different ghost powers. Her ghost power is to be able to like make this humming sound, singing that people can hear. So she's like can leave EVPs like in singing. But she goes, "Hey Alexa, play this," and Alexa hears her as a ghost and plays the songs, and she's having fun with it. Like it becomes a power struggle with the other ghosts. They're like, "Please do this for me. Get it to play this." It's a great show. I talk about it all the time. It's a good comedy, but I love that it gets into the different ideas of what might be going on the other side of spirits. But I think of that with the Alexa and her being able to interact with it, and how many of these spirits it might be able to like understand what's going on and interact with it. Now one thing I'd like to get into. We got a little bit of time before the next commercial break. You said, like you guys counted 11 different voices that were recorded. In your mind, do you think there are actually 11 spirits? Or is this something else mimicking voices, making voices? Are there actual spirits that are there? Or is this some other kind of entity that we are dealing with? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm torn. There's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
We know poltergeists can mimic people. Me and Tina were mimicked. There were times where Tina would respond to me and I didn't call her.
Yeah,
there were times where I would respond and I swear to my grave it was Tina's voice. They can mimic the people that they are haunting and are around. So there's that, right? What's interesting about the EVPs is some of the voices captured had different accents. Bothell, Washington, back in the day when it early founded, was founded primarily by Irish settlers. Think of that what you will. And the voices, some had Irish accents. Okay, and it was interesting that they had Irish accents, but what does it mean? Are these people that were once
Maybe it could be mimicking
dead?
If this But it could be
But
mimicking
if
those
the
people
entities
from
were
back
already
then.
there, yeah, they're just mimicking back then. You know, the land they've already been here. So people come and go like they mimic Rhonda. They took on Rhonda's appearance as an apparition. Now I'm going because you brought up something in my mind, and I got to share. And this is true story.
Yeah.
I still not made of this. I'm still trying to understand this of what it means or the ramifications. But back in October, November of last year, I was supposed to be my friends for a wine tasting, and I couldn't go because I had a bad fall the day before and I injured myself. So I backed out of it. I backed out of the wine tasting event. And I said, hey guys, I'm going to stay in. I'm in agonizing pain. I'll catch you on the rebound. Later that evening, I get a text message from one of the people with the wine tasting. And he says, I just saw you. And I'm like, what? Question mark, what? He said, you just walked by me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, I just saw you. I'm like, where are you at? He's, we're at the winery. And then to go even further, he got up from the table and left the company because he saw me walk through the hallway where the bathrooms were. And so he followed me. And when he turned the corner, and there's only two rooms, the female and the men's room. And he went to the men's room and there was nobody there. Nobody there. There was no other exit through the buildings.
Yeah.
In that area. And he swears up and down it was me. You know, he swears.
And you
up
were
and
at
down.
home awake? You were at home awake at
I
the
was
time
at
this
home.
was happening? Were you awake?
I was awake. I was loud awake. I was watching TV.
Okay.
I was awake. I got the text message. And when I saw him face to face a few days later, I drilled him on it. I'm like, hey, you know, tall black guy or whatever. Like, no, man.
What were you wearing? What did?
Yeah,
Did he know what you were wearing?
It wasn't clothes that I owned. He said it was dressed like you. It looked like you because he saw me. He said, "I saw you." It wasn't only like I saw your back. I saw you. I saw you. You
Did he make eye contact?
He said no. He didn't make eye contact because I'm walking sideways, you know, lateral. But he was smart enough and got up because he thought that I had changed my mind and decided to come join them. But maybe I was going to the bathroom first, or maybe I was looking for them. So in his mind, well, oh, that's Keith. Oh, hey, Keith, we're over here. So he got up and followed me. And then when he turned the corner and got the bed, there's no Keith. And he had to go back to the table and say, hey, I just saw Keith. I followed him. Oh, that was Keith. You know, and I remember that day while I was at home now, I was in immense pain. I was in. And I always thought, was it my pain combined with my being sort of depressed and not being able to be with my friends that conjured up a living apparition of me? You know, because I was like, whoa, you know. And to this day, he swears up and down he saw me. So.
I mean, it's a doppelganger effect. I mean, that's reported in these cases as doppelganger effects, not just mimicking, but literally appearing as that person. But this isn't like, you know, a restaurant somewhere and you're just walking through. Is this time travel? Is this a time shift? Parallel universe? I mean, there's a lot of scenarios we can run through our mind about what this is, but it comes down to like, I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
And I can feel and I understand where he's coming from because I had the same reaction when I saw Rhonda, especially when I saw her, the white lady, because she's walking through my hallway.
She was alive at the time?
She was all white. This is the second time I saw her. She was full body, like he said I was, and she was holding something, you know, and she was walking in the hallway like she lived there. But this is 2014, and I saw her as clear as day, you know, and I'm like, man, but we didn't make eye contact. She's walking,
just like your friend.
She's gone around the corner. She's gone, you know, around the corner. She's gone. But so I understood where he was coming from, and I believe him because I was like, Now that's interesting. Being the doppelganger yourself, that's very interesting and unnerving. Because I was like, well, what is that? Where do you go with that? I don't know. I saw Rhonda.
It's also just disturbing. At the time when you saw Rhonda, she was still alive. You're saying, right? Like you saw a doppelganger of her in your home.
Yeah, Rhonda was still in Yakima, and here I am seeing her walk to my house plain as day, and then she died a year and a half later. So my brain went there. I was like, whoa, what's going? What is that all about?
You've seen what? You've seen what? 3 or 4 times like full apparitions in the home, right? Like besides not just shadow people, but like full, like you could see a person.
I've seen 3 off the top of my head. Yeah, 3.
3? It was 3. Because I kind of remember.
1 white. Yeah.
I remember the one that you said was. Oh, my hair gets on, it raises on my arms just thinking about it. Is the one that looked up over the stairs. It would have been like 12 feet high. Like you saw her head pop out. Is that the one that had like the bulging eyes too?
Just the head and bulging eyes and frizzy hair.
Yeah.
That was the most one, because you're right. Steven and I, we tried to do a reenactment of how that's even possible. I'm 6'5". I couldn't even do it. And we did they brought out the rules and the chairs, and they said for where you saw her head and the stairs go up, she was 12 feet off the ground. And I remember that day I was working from home, and it was like I was in a forest, and it got quiet. Everything got quiet. And
you felt the energy
something
change.
told me to look up. Yeah, the energy changed in the room. And I looked up, and she was looking dead at me.
My hair's raised on my arm.
It felt like an eternity.
Yeah, I bet.
It felt like she had been studying me and just waiting for me to find. And she didn't like gradually put her head back. She darted her head back. And then you heard the thundering up the stairs.
Just like you and Tina would hear when you'd come home, and you'd hear like somebody running away.
I heard that. My ears picked up. That sound traveling through the air, reaching my eardrum. And she went across the landing. You heard the footsteps.
Oh man!
And it stopped all the way into the master bathroom. Why the bathroom? I don't know. Maybe like going back to your friend. Maybe that's where the portal is at, because you would think, well, maybe why did it stop in the bath? Why did it stop in the bedroom? No, it stopped in the master bathroom, the far end, the farthest end.
Yeah. Makes you wonder. And when you guys would come home that place, you'd hear those footsteps. It was always going to that direction. Oh wait, he's frozen. Dang it! All right, guys, hang in there with us. He's frozen. Sometimes he comes back. Sometimes he's got to reconnect.
Of the master.
It's like speeding up, trying to catch up. It's like delivering the data packets right now. You there, Keith?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. It was like doing weirdness. Well, anyways, what I was saying is that when you guys would hear the when you hear the footsteps, would it always be that direction? Always the same place? Seemed like they would go.
Upstairs. Always going upstairs, right? And I don't mean like I mean like going back to how many people were at home. Was it 11? I always say more because it was a lot. It like you open up the front door, and then and I like, and the first few times I thought we had intruders in the home. I mean, that's a weird experience to come home to, because you're like, wait, whoa, okay, but all right. And even with the alarm not tripping, I got to go investigate every room as to pretend if there was somebody in the home. I don't know what I'm going to do if there were, but thank God there wasn't. But Tina experienced that, I experienced that, and it happened more than multiple times. Multiple times in 2012, multiple times in 2014, the going up and down the stairs, the hallway. I was always thought about, like, what are they doing when we're gone? Are are they dancing? What are they doing? Because
Well, they ransacked your place more than a couple times
Yeah,
too, or they broke
yeah.
stuff, like
Yeah.
expensive stuff.
Yeah, but this was when like none of the breakage was happening yet. This is just
Yeah.
lull activity. We had stuff missing and stuff, but I was like, what are they doing? Because they run it as if I can't see them. So why are you running? But that was their instinct to run. So I don't know. That was just weird.
One of the things you described, we talk about the apparitions as the shadow people, and I'm interested in that, of course, because my experiences. You said you would see the shadow people sometimes in red eyes. I had that experience with my shadow person a few times when I was 18, and then when I lived in our first apartment with my wife was very haunted, and I felt like that shadow thing came back because it had a doorway in there, and I saw it in this room that always had the most activity. And its eyes turned red again, but this time it actually started to glow, and I could see its face was almost beast-like, like animal-like. And I just said, "You are not allowed here. Get out of my house. Get out!" And it disappeared. We left that apartment. It was very haunted. Again, I felt like things were whatever was there. It was multiple spirits, and things whatever was happening in that apartment, these spirits were attracted to it. And that's what so the possibility that we have spirits and shadows and other entities, I think it's a lot of all that going on.
Right, and I tell you what's even more is, as the activity increases, so does the quantity of shadow figures, because more began to appear. It was almost like they sent word out, party at Keith and Tina's, because I could tell you,
or blood in the water, kind of.
Yeah, and sharks come for miles. Dead carcass, one vulture sees something, and that's the other one's no. But I can tell you there's been times I'm in my office, and you're right, the first time I saw a shadow figure was in my office, and it went from left to right in my doorway. And I was so taken aback by it, I didn't even tell Tina. That's how I was scared, and I was taken aback by it. And my brain, as a way to comfort me, it disavowed it. Like, you're tripping. Go get some coffee. Because I did not know what to make of that. Like, if that's what's been doing all this stuff now, up to now, and by then we've had Bible fires and poster fires and all that, and people coming over to help or whatever. If that's what's at the root of all this, we're in the house of hell. Because that thing did not look nice. Now, fast forward, because I tucked it away in my brain and my psyche, because I don't want to deal with it. That does not make it go away. So what finally made me tell Tina was today, going back to Rhonda, when she volunteered that information to me. I asked Rhonda, because she said, hey, my name is Keith. I'm a previous tenant. Oh, I'm a tenant. You're a previous tenant. We're having weird things happening in the house. I had to tell her what the weird things were. And she started gave me a laundry list of what they had. And the second or third thing she said was her son, whose room was the room I was in, my office was her son's room, saw shadowy figures out the corner of his eye all the time. And she ended it with this: he still sees them to this day. And when she told me that, and I had her break down, well, what do you mean shadowy figures? And she's like, yeah, he sees them. He sees them out the blue. He sees them not only in the house, he sees them when they're out and about, traveling in the car or going out about their daily lives. But he mainly sees them in his bedroom. And her and her husband and his dad, they didn't know what to make of that. And then when I heard that, I knew I was not seeing things, because I was like, oh, okay. And seeing shadowy figures, just like seeing apparitions, just like objects go from small to large being thrown, is a phase of poltergeist. When you start seeing shadowy figures, you are at the beginning of the next phase, which is going to be the horrible, horrible, horrible stuff. Like I said, more are coming in. When they allow themselves to be seen by you, when they're able to allow themselves to manifest and see you, that means they have taken an interest to you to where seeing them doesn't matter. You know, and that's when the gloves really start coming off, is when I start seeing the shadowy figures, because that's when I started getting attacked in hotel rooms when I was traveling on business.
Yeah.
I've been poked and prodded in planes at 25,000 feet in the air. I've had my sheets yanked off me while in other people's homes that I spend the night in hotels. I've had my Wi-Fi go out in the hotel room, the only room in the entire 500-room hotel, Hyatt Regency, or whatever, and the IT department said, we have this problem. Nobody else is experiencing this but you. And yeah, I'm being attacked, and the bed indentations and the mattress indentations and the what feels like a disembodied heartbeat pulsation
under the bed. And that's been reported, and other people have had that experience. The pulsating in the bed.
Yeah. The haunting in Connecticut, I forgot that family's name, described it to a T as I did. And that was 1980 something. How she defined it and described it was identical, and I didn't even know it existed.
I've had a couple cases where people have experienced that too in the bed. I've had two cases with spontaneous fires. Like one, I remember going in this house. Like I said, they left everything. They left TVs, they left clothes, they left everything. They got out of this house. They went into foreclosure. They still had everything there when we finally went in to investigate it. And you could see where they were all eating, because all the spoiled food, way over 2 years spoiled at this point, still sitting there where they left. They didn't want to go back in this house. You can see on a kitchen counter, nowhere near the stove. Stove's totally on another part of the kitchen, but it's on a kitchen counter where the sink is, and not near an electrical outlet. Just black charred martin. They had told me they were all sitting there eating breakfast, or I think it was breakfast. It was in the morning, and next thing you know, this fire just whoosh comes out of the counter, and the dad puts it out, and they just grabbed what they could, and they got out, and they were like, "We're done. We're done with this place." They had so many crazy things happen, and the fire was it. That was the last straw. They were done with the place, and they broke. It cost them a lot, and the family had a lot of tragedy after that too. But I also had the Belle Guinness case, which is she's a well-known early 1900s female serial killer. Her property was very haunted, and the people that lived in a house that lived on the foundation of her original house would have spontaneous fires too. You know, more than once. They eventually tore the place down. You know, there's these elements to these hauntings that are very, like you said, when those shadow people start showing up, you have some kind of infestation. I think it's beyond. You'll get cases where people see spirits of people, and it seems benign, you know, like a normal haunting, but then it starts to get more activity, and then the shadow people show up. It's like there's a doorway open, spirits come in, and they're interacting with you, but something else comes in because that door's still open, and it wants to feed off of whatever's going on in this location.
Yeah, they're getting stronger. Part of our fear and attention is getting them stronger, but you're right, more are coming. The horn has been sounded. The one thing I'm grateful for, and like I said, thank God Tina was there to douse the fire on me, but like you mentioned, there are other poltergeist cases. I mean, we can travel outside the United States, and people are not as fortunate. Homes are burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Villages are burnt down. Families are burnt. The entities, you know, third world countries, these poltergeists that operate out of Asia and the Middle East and South America. Oh my
like
God.
The Jinn.
They do stuff to make me blush, because I'm like, I could even tell my story sitting around them, because the stuff that they got, and these are very powerful. See, what I explained, I think it was in attachments. You saw me sort of give you remember the movie The Usual Suspects? I give you a line of what I thought was in the house. You had the gray and the white lady, You had the floating orb deals. You had the minions over here. And then you had that little invisible entity who I said was responsible for the poster fire. And every now and then in the home, I felt we would get visited by the invisible entity. To even the shadowy figures took a back seat. It's not like they all work in unison, you know. It's like you got.
It's like the lion showing up and scattering the hyenas.
Right, exactly. That's where I was about to go. You got the lions over here who will just rip you to shreds, and hyenas too. But you get them together, oh my God! You know, the lions hate hyenas and vice versa. So these entities, they're not like high-fiving each other. Within their group, they are. But the other ones, the big ones, the mean ones, the more powerful, and that's why I labeled the pyro poltergeists. Them are the ones, when they come in there, they just come in to wreck shop. And when they wreck shop, man.
You know, when I'm looking at the cover of your book, and you have kind of like these like little gremlin-like entities, shadow entities, like in the cover, like the one on the Final Fantasy poster, you know? What it makes me think of every time I keep looking at it is I have had Barry Taff on the show, parapsychologist, and he was involved in the Entity case, and they made the movie of it. But if you're familiar with the Entity case, she would describe shadowy little figures or figures she would feel holding her down as she was being raped by the bigger entity.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, Patty, you read in the second book when she was attacked, and the video, the audio is horrific for those who want to listen to it, when she was attacked in the room next to mine. And things were holding her down. She could not get words out of her mouth. This is a little bad about her. She was screaming, but nothing was coming out. And you're right. Those are the minions. I refer to them as minions, but you're right. They will hold you down, and whatever is a hierarchy. And you're right. I totally believe the case Barry Tapp worked. I'm very familiar with it, and I believe her story, and that's how it's done. Rhonda, what she says in the police report backs it up. When she's in the garage screaming, "Why don't y'all leave me alone?"
Yeah.
There's nobody in the home. The police officer made it a point to write that in his report because he hears a woman screaming, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." And lo and behold, you know, they have to apprehend her. She's bleeding from both arms because of the screwdriver. But there's nobody in the house. Who is she talking to?
Yeah.
Who is she referring to? And
did you did you ever get out of her about what the whole intruder thing was? That she was where she
would not divulge with me about the rape. I
understand that.
I don't want to drill her. If she volunteered, yeah. I know what happened. She had. It's one of the police reports where the officer mentioned. She told the officer she's suicidal. She was raped a few days ago. That's in the report. She didn't press charges. That's why there's no 911 record of it.
But was she raped by a person or an entity? Because I've had Gavin Lee Davies on here.
That I don't know, and we don't
know. But we won't know. But
we won't know.
But there's similar. I know it's uncomfortable, but there's similarities here to what you're going through and what she went through. I've had Gavin Lee Davies on here who did a very in-depth book called Ghost Sex Violation. It's a serious book on people who've been violated by entities that do a lot of the same stuff they're doing to you and did to Rhonda, but they also, with women, sexually assaulted them. One, it was so horrific that the son witnessed it to his mother being literally raped in front of him, held down, just very similar to the entity case, by small beings holding her down as she's being raped by a bigger being.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right. And I wanted to go there with her. I think I could have. I think she would have volunteered eventually had she still been alive.
But imagine that trauma.
I know the trauma was immense in the sense of, you have to think of it like this. If you felt 5 suicide attempts in the Bothell home, and you're still trying living elsewhere. This is 5, 6 years, 7 years removed, and how she committed suicide would just go there, of walking in front of a moving train in the broad daylight after all other means have failed. The kind of thinking you would have to be under, and to allow, I'm gonna let a train run over me. I mean, that's
right.
That's not a bullet. That's not, instantaneous. And what was driving that? What was on the other end? See, I can feel full disclosure because I want people to know about this case. Because I hate when people say, "I wish it happened to them." But you don't.
No, you don't.
I've had entities tell me about the Bothell home, or now, not recently now, but in the past, kill myself. I've had them instruct me, kill yourself. They put the idea verbally.
I had that experience with my shadow person, tried to get me to there.
Yeah, they try. They make the scenario to where like, hey, this, So I know what Rhonda was thinking and where her head was headed at. I was just shocked and sad that they had to succumb to that, because I know these things. I know these entities, and they got one. They got one. They did get one life or score one death out of that home. But you're right. Other cases, these entities, it's
the entity case. The woman, Patty, where she left. She left. It followed her where she went. They got caught up with her. Barry Taft said 10 years later, and she was still going through it. She was still going through it. The fact that it even would she'd be driving and it would suddenly press down on the acceleration pedal while she's trying to drive. It could kill her.
They're there. They're there. I have flare-ups every now and then, and you're right. They're there.
We got to go to our last commercial break, Keith. We got to go to our last commercial break. We'll come back, see if anybody can want to try to call in tonight. We're trying to hold it together with this. So far, we made it barely with this internet. Hopefully next week isn't like this. But thank you, Keith, for being patient with us. We got about a half-hour show left. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll still have the phone lines open, but wait to call in until after the commercial break because I put it on Do Not Disturb until then. But we'll be back with our guest, Keith Linder, talking about his new book, Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics, after the short commercial break.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
I don't want to hear all this.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive.
Come
Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Robb, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hopson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do,
re,
be gone.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. Or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Keith Linder. We're talking about his new book, Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics. He is a guy who has lived through a whole poltergeist experience, still is, because these things do follow you home to wherever you go. I mean, there's a number of cases we've talked about over the years on this show, but it doesn't end when you just move out of the house. These things can attach to you, and that is a very scary thought to many people when they first start encountering this and they find out, like, just moving away won't even solve the problem. What do you do? I saw somebody on Twitch there asking, how do you control these things? I don't think you do. We'll get Q's opinion on that. But it is something more than just a spirit haunting a home we're talking about here when you're getting into this kind of activity. When the shadow people start showing up, fires start happening, people have, start having their, people die. You know, maybe it wasn't paranormal related, but somebody did die, committed suicide. I've seen this in cases. It is really serious stuff. Everybody loves the shows and the paranormal ghost hunting shows, and we go hunting for spirits. I've done it. But in the end, some of these things can be really dangerous. And this is definitely one of those cases I feel there's up there of you don't want to mess around with. If you're a paranormal investigator and you run to a case like Keith's, take it very seriously. Take them very seriously and don't play around with it at all. It'll bite you in the butt. Let's go ahead and get back to our guests. I'm going to open up the phone lines, call into the show, join the discussion tonight. We only got about a half an hour left, but let's go ahead and get right back into it. Thank you, Keith, for hanging in there with our shoddy internet. And I can keep going for this last half hour. Now, we've talked a lot about the different phenomenon and the spontaneous fire being, like I said, a pyro poltergeist is probably one of the most scariest of all the things going on. Also, where they can drive you to. I know the reason I do this show is because my shadow person experience drove me to the brink. It really drove me to the brink of my sanity, and I was just 4 months. And I got lucky somehow, and I feel like I had divine intervention that saved me from it. Not everybody gets that, and people have turned religion and tried to get divine intervention. I saw Intrepidus from Twitch say, what she said, what's the difference between shadow people and figures and spirits? Well, we don't know. But her other question, flare-ups, so how do you keep it under control? Is there anything you think for people to minimize what's going on in their home?
Yeah. What I've learned, if you're having an outbreak, and we'll call it that, if you're having a poltergeist outbreak, and what that means is your home is right there in real time, it's active. One of the things you should avoid doing, because you don't want to antagonize. You can antagonize people, you can antagonize spirits. Is you don't want to pile on things that you might have, bright ideas that you might have found on the internet, bright ideas.
Yeah, don't do spirit boxes.
TV. And if you're not familiar with how to smudge or sage, don't smudge or sage.
Yeah,
we made the mistake of smudging and saging. I didn't know what I was doing. It made the activity worse. Okay.
Yep.
Find somebody who does know how, and that's extremely hard to do. But one of the things we tried to do or had to do was you have to keep your anger, your animosity, your negative emotions under control.
Fear, too.
Yep.
That's hard.
Keep your fear under control. If the activity is happening, my advice in most sense is leave. And by leave, unless you're home, you can leave for a few hours, 4 hours, 8 hours out of the day, a weekend, 3 days or whatever, and let the activity dissipate. Open up some upstairs windows and let the activity dissipate. The energy needs to get out. It needs to dissipate. As well as you. We're under a pressure cooker when you're in a poltergeist infested home. You're under a pressure cooker, and a lot of times it helps to leave, go away. If it gets unbearable, outright move. Definitely if you got children involved, pets involved, definitely if you see them being bothered, kids especially. So in that sense, yeah. Steve Mara and other parapsychologists will tell you one of the things that they've noticed with poltergeist is less is more. The less attention you give it can lessen the activity. I know it's easier said than done. The less anxiety, because it's very frightening, especially if you've never dealt with this before. It's very frightening. Arguing does not help. Finger pointing does not help. If you find yourself, every day as you're waking up on the wrong side of the bed, leave and bring other people and the church. I would reach out to the church more than I would a paranormal team, especially a local team, because like people need to be vetted with their cases and their stories. Paranormal teams need to be vetted too. There are paranormal teams, not all, that can come in and will come in and make their situation worse because they're doing what they see on TV.
Yeah,
you're not TV. You're real life. Okay, TV is TV.
If you have a paranormal investigation team come in and say, "We're going to use a spirit box," I would go early days. People bringing the SP7s and spirit boxes into residentials. I got to a point as an investigator. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. Because you want to go to a building, a historic building, and do it there, cool, whatever. But residential cases, I started making it off limits for spirit boxes, because as we got into it, I'm like, this isn't the natural phenomenon. We were inviting. This is might as well pull out a Ouija board.
Yeah, you can't turn it off.
Right, we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you can't turn it off. You're right. In a abandoned building, a hospital, whatever, fine, knock yourself out. In a home where people got to sleep. Remember, you don't live there; they do. Where they got to sleep, and you bring your spirit box in there, and they already tell you spirits are talking to them. So why you need a box to prove what they're telling you is beyond me. But you're turning something on that you can't turn off, and don't think, well, I leave, they leave. No, that's the arrogant paranormal team. Yeah. What's that?
What shows and them using the spirit boxes. I've had investigations much anymore since COVID, pretty much. But the day there, not long ago, I would tell the clients we're not going to do spirit box. We'll do EVP. We're going to try to record the natural phenomenon. And the client will go, no, I want you to do the spirit box. They've seen the TV shows. And they want to hear it, and they want to find out what's going on, and they think the spirit box is it. And I have to warn them. And I've had done some spirit boxes last a few years ago in some residentials, because a client is like, well, I really, really want you to do it. And I'm like, I have to list out the whole warning to them that by doing this, we could be inviting anything into your home. We could definitely make the activity worse. I don't want to do it. And there was one time I really got, the client was like, I don't care. I want to know. I want to hear it. I'm like, okay. But honestly, I don't recommend it.
Right. You explain to them the risk, and they still want it to. But you're right. You give them the risk and let them know. Okay.
Now I have more clients than not say, yeah, no, don't do it. I don't want things to get worse. And those are the ones I'm generally like, yeah, you are living in it because you understand. You don't want things to get worse. And I've had clients, I'm honest with clients when I tell them we're going to come in, that after we leave, activity can definitely spike up and get worse. And I'm just being honest. We're not Ghostbusters. We're not going to go in there and it's going to all go away. It's probably going to get worse.
We're not, we're not the Pied Piper where we leave, they leave. I can tell you, paranormal teams, local came, who presented themselves as the Pied Piper. Oh, we leave, they leave. You guys are good. And I'm like, no. And oh yeah, they're leaving.
Yeah, we're losing.
Come on, guys.
Oh no.
Come with us.
Sorry, guys. Hold on. He's back to the frozen thing. It's been quite a show tonight. You there, Keith?
I think I can.
Yeah, I think I can. There we go. All right. Yeah, I hear you first, and you're frozen for a minute, and then you come back. Yeah, I cut off a lot of that. Sorry. My internet's going. They can hear me, but it's like your internet went.
Oh, no problem.
It's like back and forth between our two internets.
Yeah. Yeah, attachments. But so yeah, there you go. Yeah, people don't do that. Don't do the spirit box in an active home.
I hear somebody. I saw. Does the placebo effect help with the people managing the emotions, though, thus helping with the spirits? I'm trying to understand that question.
You mean can it?
Can it? I don't know.
It can. I mean, it can. Emotions is a powerful tool for both poltergeist and house occupant.
Oh yeah.
You know, as a person thinketh, so is he or she. So, you know, I have come in to a home, our home, and if I brought in negative thoughts, we're gonna have a lot of activity that night. You know, I'm not the one levitating furniture, but I'm providing the fuel that allows them to levitate the furniture. If Tina comes in and she's mad at me, there's gonna be repercussions when we get home if we got into a debate, me and Tina, when we're not at home. They're gonna take advantage of that, and vice versa. If you're, you know, positive, you know, lighthearted, and trying not to, you know, cause attention, you can. Doesn't always work, but you can sometimes quell the activity.
I've
The best thing to do is just leave.
I've recommended to people that have had not your level at all of activity, but have had some activity and it seems a little negative, or they're having a little bit of like they can feel it, like being watched, or they're in a new home they've just moved into. I said, throw a party, invite all your friends, and just have a good time. Alcohol, try not to be included though, but just have a lot of good vibes. Bring some good people over. Got to watch out for drugs and alcohol involved with these things too. You don't want to get that mixed up in it, but.
Well, yeah, and you're right. And because I've had people, once the alcohol's involved, their emotions pour out. You know, you have one house guest today, he broke up with me today, or something. You're like, whoa, the wrong house to have that breakdown. You know? So try to have the people, you know, who are strong and powerful, you know, energy-wise, in your home, where the spirits don't really know what to make of them. They're like, oh, this queen positive over here. You know, surround yourself. You know, build up that support system. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard. You know about my housewarming party where everybody was messed with. Once people dissipated and left, then the spirits start throwing things. But other parties, they did it. And so, yeah, it varies, you know.
Yeah. You know, I've recommended to people too is like, you know, I mean, I've had interviewed clients and they were telling me, oh, we were watching a movie and then this thing happened. I go, what movie were you watching? And it'll turn out a large percentage of the time they were watching a horror movie or something scary. And I said, your energy could be, you know, you're getting a little frightened. You know it's a movie, but you do get a little spooked or you get a frightening scene. It makes motions come out and then you get a reaction there because it's feeding off of it. So you might want to keep those movies off the list right now. You know, anything that's going to do that until this like settles down.
Something in your home. I mean, if you got something in your home, right? It's like you don't light a match when you smell gas, right? So if you think you got something in your home, trust your intuition, your instincts. And tonight might not be the night to watch Freddy Krueger or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I want to put on some Mickey Mouse or Dumbo. You know, so yeah. We would leave gospel music playing while we were gone. Crack up open all the windows and leave music on while we were gone. To see, so when we came home 8 hours later, they won't bother us that night. And it worked. Some days it worked. Sometimes it didn't. You know, it's trial and every house is different. Every experience is different because the ingredients is different, meaning the house people living there. But the things you'll know what makes the activity worse really quickly. Trust me. You're going to do something and you're going to see a spike. That means cease and desist. You know, like, whoa, we lit a sage and whoa, look at all this destruction. Okay. Don't go out and buy 26.
Don't do the sage.
You know.
That ghost TV show, I love it. I love it. One of the first episodes, they sage to try to get rid of the ghost, and the ghosts are like, one of them's a hippie. It's like, ooh, let me get a hit of that. They're like all loving it. And there was another episode recently where somebody's like brings out the sage. They're like, oh, I get the first hit. The ghost says, like they love it. Like it didn't do anything, you know. God, us silly humans don't know what we're doing. But yeah, I think I think staging and smudging can work. But it has to be done right. And my wife's pretty good at doing it, but it's no guarantee. And I don't like to do it. We don't offer it when we were doing our paranormal investigations. My wife would do it at a request if it was really requested, but we don't offer it because a lot of times will make the activity worse. It could, even if it's done right, it can make the activity worse.
Yeah, it can. And they know, also like the 666, they know that's everybody's go-to now. I'm just gonna put that out there. They know sage is everybody's go-to. Oh, here comes the sage stick. This is the poltergeist talking amongst themselves. Oh, okay. That's why the one lit Jennifer.
Lit her for.
Okay, let me help you with that.
Yeah. The proof of point, like, I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna take a hit off.
And they just follow you around the house like you go sage, and they're like, "Oh, don't forget that room. Don't forget that room. We're not in it right now, but don't forget the sage."
You should see.
Yeah,
you should see that show Ghost. You'll get a laugh for that scene, with that experience.
Is it on BBC? It's on BBC channel.
The original is BBC, but the American one is CBS. I know I get it on the Paramount app.
Okay.
Yeah. The American one's interesting because it's more, I love the BBC version, the original version, but the American one's more like, related to like American history and the ghosts there. They're both funny, but yeah, either one I would check out. The one with the sage, though, they seem to go in more depth with the American version. They have more episodes, and they explore things that are pretty interesting, like the sage. I love that part. But yeah, I tell clients, just wait. Let's gather data. Let's see what's going on. We can try some things to dispel the activity. I tell clients not to even talk about the haunting in the home. If they can, get out, go to dinner, compare notes with the other family members, but try not to do it in the home. Like, don't let it know you're paying attention.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. Yeah, we did that later on, me and Tina, when we would talk about it outside the home. Because you're right. Talking about it in the home is still giving them attention because they hear everything, and a few times we've been attacked while talking about it. So you're right. Go do dinner. Go do, whatever, vacation, camping or whatever, compare notes or whatever, outside the home. I can tell you there's huge benefit of not talking about it at the location, especially if you got an active house, and especially if you're showing malevolent activity. Because they hear all this stuff. I mean, they hear it all. When Steve and Dawn were there, they left their equipment running 24/7 for 7 or 8 days while they were there. And that's how they was able to catch so many EVPs, because the spirits were talking as soon as they walked through the door. And you just hear them. There's the exorcism of the Bothell House, the exorcism of the house. It's on my YouTube channel. And you can hear the voices. The spirits are talking amongst themselves as the priest is conducting the exorcism. And they're laughing and chuckling, and they're like talking about his repertoire of things he's using: cross, holy water, salt, and everything. And it's affecting some of them.
Like I said, they took the holy water.
Yeah, they took the holy water. And some of it, some of his rituals and prayer, it's affecting them, but it's not removing them. They're having conniptions and fits and all that. And other ones, though, I guess the stronger ones, they're just laughing, and just like, but they're talking and they're enunciating and having conversations. And anybody can hear it. It's on my YouTube channel. We magnified the sound. We didn't alter the sound. We magnified it, and people can hear that. And me and the priest and everybody going room to room, and I think he saves a little bit, and they're just laughing at it all. They're watching. They're like, look at these guys. I mean, it's like a joke to them. Like, that don't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work.
Is that when you also got the EVP? It was like more? It said something like more, like, It was like
no,
Give
that's
Me
a
More or
different one.
something like that.
Yeah,
That's a
different.
different
That's
one.
what the dog went under the house. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I Want More. He went under the floor plan of the house.
Ah.
But,
But EVPs is my favorite evidence, and they definitely got a lot of good ones. I remember when Nikki and Chris were there, I got to listen in on some of the stuff they were getting at the time because I'd help them like review or filter, like kind of like look at the spectrum of the audio they would catch because I was friendly with Chris at the time. And it was some interesting stuff. I love EVPs, and you guys definitely were getting a plethora of them with Nikki and with Steve Mera.
Easy EVPs, Nikki and them. They got the spirits to admit or open up on any shadow figures or people were here. And a kid voice came back with 3, and then one of them was, y'all do this wall writing or paint this wall, and a male voice was, just look at it.
Mm-hmm.
When the Bible pages start turning by themselves, this is on Nikki's channel and mine, the pages are turning by themselves in the living room.
I remember that.
And a voice.
She had a doll move
like,
too, didn't she?
The doll moved, the doll, the doll. And the voice said, show me how to, so all that stuff. Yeah, they got some good stuff. And I know when a team is good about their craft because it blew Nikki away. They were like, been in other homes and other investigations, and even Steve Mera blew him away. He's like, man, this, nobody comes into a house and get 500 EVPs. That's just Class A. That's just, the Class C's the world will never see it because we discarded those. The Class A's and B's they kept, and yeah, it just riddled the mind. Me not experienced with EVPs when I first heard them, when they told me, hey, come here. And I was like, whoa, dude, and clear, intelligent, very intelligent.
Yeah, responding to what's going on around you. It's not like residual. It's responding to what's going on at the time, like the exorcism.
They're talking to each other about stealing cameras. Like, hey, steal that camera. Like you and I were talking.
There's one that said that.
Like, hey, there's even people one tells the other one. It's on my YouTube channel where it tells the other one to steal a camera. Steal that camera. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's just take that camera. Unplug this, unplug that. Oh yeah. I mean, they're intelligent, smart, but there's an adolescent thing about them because it'd be like when me and my brother were kids and we're like, our parents are going to bed. Hey, you go in there and open up the Christmas present. No, you go in there and open up the Christmas present. I keep looking out. No, you do it. Well, I did it last time. That's the sort of conversations they're having when the investigative teams are in there. They're like, you go steal that camera. Let's do it. It's like a hierarchy. There's one called Ray that they always ordered around. Ray got everybody ordered him around. You go do, it's like, what? It's just like we have our military and you go do, give it to Mike, he does everything, It was just weird hearing it. Clear. In the midst of all these other voices. And you're right, we're calling the contextual EVPs. This is not the ones on TV. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Garble. No, these are sentences. One EVP asks a question, another will answer. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, this blows my mind.
I bring up the ghost show again because it also makes me think of is that the ghosts in it have different abilities. Like only one of them can actually touch things and move it. So they're always getting him to like type on the computer, look something up, or move something, or do something. They're getting him to change the channel on the TV.
Yeah.
It's like one thing we didn't even get into tonight. I wish we would have, but I mean we've covered it before with you on the show. Is all the black kind of the writing and all that, but the black, whatever the bone paint. That stuff, how the bone black, and how it ended up in a friend's vehicle on top of their inside of their car.
That was my car.
That was your car. Oh, I thought it was a friend's car when they were delivering. They were analyzing it, and it was somebody else's car.
Oh no, that's the truck. Oh, you talking about the truck? Yeah,
the truck. Yeah.
See. Oh man, that's another.
We ran out of time.
Write a book about that, so. Yeah. I mean, we have to have 2 hours to talk about Bone Black, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's interesting phenomenon itself. Because the Ghostbusters and the spiritualist movement talked about like ectoplasm and stuff like that. This is phenomena of a from the spirit world. Well, you really had it. You have something there. I mean, the Bone Black is an element, but there's it's just the way that it appears. It feels like this is like a residue from an entity.
Right.
The way it went through the roof, and the way that it would leave splatter marks.
And magnified it 1,500 times magnification, and the reader can see that whole process from beginning to end of what the Bone Black looks at the macro level and what it looks at the micro level, invisible to the naked eye. And it's going to blow your mind, dude, because what it suggests, because you see my door, like you see the door behind me, and you see the black oil, right? This upside down 666 or whatever, or cross. And then you see this white, right? Well, what I did was the 666 is right here, and I looked at the 666 under a microscope, but I always had a hunch and a theory that there was more to the naked eye. And I put the microscope over here, and when I magnified it, the black oil is here too. You just can't see it.
Can't see it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's dots, and the dots form into bigger dots and tentacles, and the tentacles coalesce and coagulate to form the words in the upside down man, upside down cross that you and I see with the naked eye. So it comes, it comes bigger and bigger into frame, coming out, and I believe, I'll never prove it because I'm not in the house anymore, I believe the entire walls of the room is like that, and maybe the house.
Like it's coming through the walls.
It's definitely coming through the wall. It's coming through the filament.
And we've seen this phenomenon.
It's not physically applied. This is, everybody was talking about. No, this is. It's not like that. It's coming through the filament. It's manifesting within the structure, and if that's true, and I believe it is, then that points, because then you got to break it down to door, wall, ceiling, floor, basement level, ground. It's coming from the ground, that land. You come and build a house. The house is only such and such years old. The land is, how old is the earth? 5 billion years? Earth is 5 billion years. The land in Bothell is 5 billion years old. So you come in there with that mindset, and I believe that black oil is on every wall, especially in the office. But it wouldn't surprise me in the entire house, because if you believe it, in my first book, and I think I put it in my second book, we did have on one occasion black oil manifesting in the hallway. Only one time has that happened. And I took a picture of it, and it's the same black oil, and it's under by the bookshelf. And it only happened once. And I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And it was the black oil. So that in itself, suggests to someone who does poltergeist research that, we're dealing with multi-dimensional possibilities here of something manifesting.
It manifested outside the home too. If you look at the top of the roof of the truck, it's something that could do that. We got to go. Sadly, this is the end of the show, Keith. I could talk to you all night about this stuff. Obviously, excellent book, guys. You got to check it out. Oh, I got it right here. Is Poltergeist: Night Side of Physics. Let me pull it up here for people to see. If it'll let me pull it up, but this is check it out, Amazon. Oh, now it's, I think maybe, I don't know, it's being weird. Well, Keith, thank you for being on the show. I truly do love the book. This is the book. Here we go. Now it shows it. Poltergeist: Night Side of Physics. Check it out. Like I said, you can definitely find it on Amazon. There's a Kindle edition too, isn't there?
Yep, Kindle and paperback.
Well, Keith, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Keep me updated. I know you still have some weird stuff happening in your life. I'd love to hear about it. And if you got another book right now, I will definitely want to read it, because you surprise me every time with your books. They're so good. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great night, man. All right, guys, that's it for the show. We made it through, barely. I will be looking more in depth on what's going on with the internet. Hopefully next week we don't have this problem with our guest. Next week will be Donald Altman. He's the author of the book Travelers. A lot of different topics we'll cover with him next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Follow, subscribe. We're also on Patreon. If you look me up under Jason Bland, Paranormal Soup, you can donate $2 a month there. Helps pay the bills. We also have Super Chat on YouTube. You can always donate on there as well. Again, helps pay the bills. Thanks to everybody who shares out the show. Keep telling people about Paranormal Soup. We also have our Facebook group page for Paranormal Soup now with a chat in there, message group. You can join everybody there from you see in the chat room. You can talk about it all week long. We can talk about the paranormal. Again, thank you guys. Have a great night. See you next week.